Chapter 1223. Return to the inn immediately. Ning Cheng sent a spiritual force message to the old fogey and opened the restriction. Ning Cheng was sure that under such circumstances, the Myriad Realm auction would not be able to suppress the situation, unless there was a creation realm expert here. Once they couldn't suppress it, the auction would end prematurely. For them, it was best to leave as soon as possible. Ning Cheng didn't know if the Myriad Realm auction had a third-step creation realm expert, but he was sure that there was no creation realm expert at the Myriad Realm auction. If there was, they would not have waited for that person to rush to the auction stage with his water-attributed nomological spirit power. Even Ning Cheng had sensed the spatial ripple. How could a creation realm expert be so weak? Boom. The water ripple blasted the restriction supporting the array, which directly blasted open a gap. The next moment, the jade box in the gap was swept away by the water ripple. Ning Cheng saw it clearly and couldn't help but exclaim in his heart that it was a good thing. Even he couldn't blast open the restriction supporting the array in a short time. The reason why the water ripple blasted open the restriction supporting the array and snatched the jade box so quickly was that the water ripple contained a top-notch cracked talisman. The value of this talisman alone was probably not low. As long as one had this talisman, even if one was trapped in a powerful restriction, they would have a chance to tear the restriction and escape. Now that this person had used this precious cracked talisman and his water ripple to snatch the jade box, it showed how much he wanted the Khanate Dragon Pearl. Bang! 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 At the same time, several experts from the Myriad Realm auction attacked the mysterious expert who had used the water ripple and cracked talisman. Dao runes exploded, and the laws collapsed. The violent aura directly blasted the auction stage into nothingness. The power of the Dao rune spread out, and even the Myriad Realm auction's auction house cracked. As Ning Cheng expected, the hundreds of thousands of cultivators participating in the Myriad Realm auction fled. No one wanted to stay in the auction under the attack of such an expert. The old fogey's escape technique was top-notch. After Ning Cheng sent him a message, he immediately rushed out of the auction house. As for Ning Cheng, he had just opened the restriction when a dozen figures rushed over. None of these figures were weak, and the weakest one was at the mid-stage primordial chaos realm. Ning Cheng sneered. These people really wanted to fish in troubled waters, and had already set their eyes on him. On the surface, his cultivation level was only at the primordial Dao realm. Furthermore, his simulated cultivation level was completely integrated with the surrounding Dao rune laws. In such a short time, not many people could see through it. He couldn't see through Ning Cheng's true strength. Almost none of the primordial chaos experts attacking him used any great spiritual power. All of them wanted to capture Ning Cheng and escape in the shortest time possible. At this time, Ning Cheng would not show any mercy. The breath soil was a good thing, but if one wanted to snatch it, one would have to pay a price. All the people who attacked him were instantly trapped in a frozen space. Several late-stage primordial chaos experts understood what was going on almost as soon as Ning Cheng's icebound space formed. Ning Cheng concealed his cultivation. The Dao charm laws of this space-sealing spirit technique weren't something a Dao essence holy emperor could cast. Even late-stage primordial chaos experts might not necessarily be able to conjure such a stable nomological ice-sealed space. Several primordial chaos experts understood that Ning Cheng had concealed his cultivation level and immediately began to retreat. Since he had already made a move, how could Ning Cheng allow the other party to retreat? Since he had chosen to rob them, he had to pay the price. At that moment, his dark consciousness blasted out completely. Be it the primordial chaos sacred emperors in the middle of Ning Cheng's icebound space, or the primordial chaos sacred emperors who had torn Ning Cheng's icebound space apart. They felt their extended spiritual senses being completely devoured when Ning Cheng's dark consciousness blasted out. Several primordial chaos sacred emperors with slightly weaker cultivation levels couldn't resist the backlash of the dark consciousness blast at all. Their spiritual seas were directly torn apart and collapsed. Uft. Several blood arrows sprayed in the cracked icebound space. Several primordial chaos experts whose spiritual seas had been destroyed fell from the void. Before they could land on the ground, Ning Cheng had already swept away their rings. Bam! 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 By the time these primordial chaos sacred emperors landed on the ground, Ningcheng had already disappeared from the venue of the Myriad Realm auction. The late-stage primordial chaos experts whose spiritual seas had been seriously injured and had escaped were horrified. If they had been half a step slower, that terrifying divine power that had torn apart their spiritual seas would have swept them all in. At that moment, they felt horrified just staying there for a while, let alone finding out who had injured them. The cultivators who had wanted to rob Ningcheng, but were a step behind, turned around and fled without thinking when they saw such a terrifying scene. Would they be waiting for death if they didn't flee? How could a person who had killed several primordial chaos sacred emperors while being besieged by more than 10 primordial chaos sacred emperors be simple? This was either a top-notch perfected primordial chaos expert or a Dao integration expert. Robbing a Dao integration expert was simply courting death. The entire auction venue was in chaos. The Myriad Realm auction had already collapsed due to the attacks of the Dao integration experts. The surrounding restrictions exploded one after another, and none of the buildings near the Myriad Realm auction survived. Everyone in the auction venue fled one after another. No one was willing to stay. Ningcheng didn't stay either. His spiritual force scanned the 4 people who were fighting. A man wrapped in water vapor was besieged by 3 other Dao integration experts. Even though the 3 Dao integration experts of the Myriad Realm auction had the upper hand, the man with thick water vapor did not seem to be going all out. Sure enough, as soon as Ningcheng scanned this area, the man with water vapor once again took out a talisman that escaped from the surrounding crisscrossing Dao runes and disappeared. Ningcheng didn't care about this matter anymore, as it had nothing to do with him. He returned to the inn as fast as he could. Ningcheng believed that even if the man with water vapor escaped, he probably wouldn't be able to escape from heavens beyond immediately. Ningcheng had seen the defense array of heaven and earth's beyond before. They were extremely powerful. Ordinary talismans really couldn't be torn apart. "Senior, you're back." The old man had already returned to the Western Domain Spatial Inn and restored his original appearance. When he saw Ningcheng return, he immediately handed a ring to Ningcheng. "Inside are the things you want, Senior." Ningcheng also removed his disguise, took out a jade bottle, and placed it in the old man's hand. "Well done. This is a drop of quintessential essence of the universe. As for how much you can recover, it depends on your own ability." The old man excitedly held the jade bottle and secretly rejoiced that he had followed Senior Ning on the right path. Without the quintessential essence of the universe, it would have been difficult for him to recover to the early-stage Dao integration realm without a few thousand years. That was if he could find top-notch heaven-earth treasures. Previously, Ningcheng had let Chasing Bull and Mu Yueping enter the quintessential world just in case. Now that there was another possibility, he simply called them out again. "Big Brother Ning, have we left heavens beyond?" Mu Yueping asked as soon as she came out. However, she quickly understood and asked in confusion, "Is this still the Western Domain Spatial Inn?" Ningcheng nodded and said, "I'm afraid we'll have to stay in heavens beyond for a while. Junior sister Yueping, go and cultivate. I just obtained the soul-gathering immortal lotus, so I'm going to help Brother Jiang reshape his body now." Ningcheng had originally planned to leave heavens beyond immediately after bidding for the item. However, it was almost impossible for him to leave heavens beyond safely now that something had happened to the Myriad Realm auction. If he wanted to leave heavens beyond by force, he would only be in conflict with the Myriad Realm auction. "Yes, Big Brother Ning." Mu Yueping's eyes were slightly red. At that moment, she felt that Brother Man had made the right decision. Big Brother Ning valued friendship and righteousness. Ever since he had found out about Brother Man's accident, he had been helping and had not disappointed her and Brother Man. It would be completely superfluous to thank him for such kindness. The old man grabbed the jade bottle and wished he could immediately enter seclusion to restore his strength. However, Mu Yueping was speaking, so he could not interrupt her. Now that Mu Yueping had finished speaking, he was about to say goodbye to Ningcheng and enter seclusion when the restriction at the door was triggered. Chasing Bull, which had become a lot more well-behaved recently, hurriedly opened the restriction. It had made up its mind to become more active and diligent while constantly improving its cultivation level. Sister Yueping had told it all this, so it had to listen. 3 men stood at the door, and the one in front was a young man. The young man's eyes were a little erratic, with a trace of disdain in them. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, showing a kind of pride. In fact, this young man's cultivation was only at the early stage eternal realm. In Ningcheng's eyes, he was almost no different from an ant. Ningcheng had seen this young man before. He was in booth 10 at the auction house. Previously, because the old man had bid against him, he had pushed open the booth in anger. However, the auction house's people had stopped him. With the myriad realm auction house's patience with him, Ningcheng understood that this fellow's background was not small. Behind the young man was a sword-like man with middle-stage primordial chaos cultivation. Standing here, he looked like a peerless spirit sword, with a strong sword intent and Dao charm. Ningcheng secretly praised this man in his heart. This man was definitely an upright and selfless person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have such a vast and sharp sword aura. Behind these 2 people, there was a young man with delicate features. Were you in booth 8 before? The young man's gaze fell on Ningcheng, and spoke with a hint of coldness. Ningcheng frowned slightly. He was also a primordial chaos expert. This young man was a starry sky cultivator in the eternal realm, yet he spoke in such a condescending tone. Compared to this young man, Mao Yi, whom he had killed before, was an honest fellow. When the old man heard that this young man dared to be rude to Ningcheng, his eyes immediately lit up with murderous intent. If it weren't for fear of causing trouble for Ningcheng, he would have already slapped this ant to death. Chasing Bull had been checking its master's face. Seeing Ningcheng frown, Chasing Bull immediately raised its hoof. Where did this hairless little thing come from? Get the hell out of here for this, Grandpa Bull. This is not a place for you to act wildly. A caterpillar without even a Dao dares to fart. The young man became angry. A beast dared to be rude to him? With a wave of his hand, a thick purple blade appeared in his hand. Ningcheng's face turned cold when he saw that the other party dared to use a weapon in his place. Chapter 12:24. Stop. Before the young man could attack Chasing Bull, the sword-like man standing behind the young man grabbed the young man's purple saber. Uncle Luo, a beast dared to be rude to me. Why don't you kill him? The young man looked angry. The man called Uncle Luo moved his hand slightly and pulled the young man to the back. Then he cupped his fists and said to Ningcheng, Taoist, I'm Luo Qinghe. I'm quite famous in heavens beyond. Ningcheng knew why Luo Qinghe had come. If Luo Qinghe had come alone, he would have been interested in answering a few questions. However, Luo Qinghe was obviously the helper of this fool who thought that he was the master of the universe. Ningcheng had no interest in answering and said to the old fogey, You answer him. Luo Qinghe was not surprised by Ningcheng's words. Although he thought that Ningcheng had come from booth 8, the old fogey was slightly older and had a slightly stronger cultivation level. Therefore, the old fogey should be the leader. Seeing Luo Qinghe look over, the old fogey sneered. I know you're famous. Otherwise, how could you occupy booth 10? However, we don't welcome you here. Please leave. How could the old fogey not know what Luo Qinghe and the others were here for? They were definitely here for the soul-gathering immortal lotus. Senior Ningcheng had given the soul-gathering immortal lotus to Jiang Man to sculpt his body, so it was impossible for him to give it to others. Senior Luo Qinghe had asked him to answer and refuse. Taoist friend, please wait. I'm indeed here for the soul-gathering immortal lotus. This immortal lotus is very important to us. Taoist friend, please name a price. As long as it's not too outrageous, we can come up with it. Luo Qinghe tried to speak in a slow tone. Upon hearing that the other party was here for the soul-gathering immortal lotus, Mu Yueping's eyes suddenly turned hostile, and even contained a hint of anger. The soul-gathering immortal lotus was for Jiang Man to sculpt his body, so how could he give it away? Sorry, the soul-gathering immortal lotus is also very useful to us. I don't have time to talk to you now. If you don't leave, I won't be so polite. The old fogey's patience had run out. He was anxious to use the quintessential essence of the universe to advance, so he was not in the mood to talk here. Uncle Luo, what cultivation level are these people? The young man clenched his fists and sent a voice transmission. Since when had anyone dared to be so rude to him? Luo Qinghe did not send a voice transmission. Instead, he said faintly, 2 early-stage primordial chaos and 1 Dao birth. He directly ignored Chasing Bull. Luo Qinghe was a mid-stage primordial chaos expert who was about to become a late-stage primordial chaos expert. Furthermore, his sword Dao law was about to form a system, so he did not really care about the 2 early-stage primordial chaos experts. Previously at the Myriad Realms auction, he and the old fart were just not used to bullying the weak. He had already experienced the feeling of being bullied. After all, he was the deputy sect master of a sect with a great reputation in the beyond of heaven and earth. He was indeed a little angry that he was not even allowed to enter when he came to visit a few outsiders. The young man obviously did not have this kind of awareness. After learning that the 2 of them were early-stage primordial chaos experts, the arrogance on his face became even stronger. You must have just arrived at heaven's beyond. There are some things that you can't do as you please. Take out the soul-gathering immortal lotus, and I'll sell it to you at the market price. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. After saying that, the young man suddenly looked at Mu Yueping and said in an even colder tone, "Do you know why there are so many dual cultivation buildings in the beyond of heaven and earth? It's because too many people don't know how to appreciate favors, and their women go to the dual cultivation buildings." Get lost. Ning Cheng's eyes turned cold, and he was no longer in the mood to listen. If Luo Qinghe had not cultivated the righteous sword Dao, and was not someone he admired, he would have slapped the young man to death. When Chasing Bull heard its master's anger, it raised its hooves and said, "Get lost, caterpillar. If you dare to fart here again, I'll trample you to death. You have a death wish." The young man stepped aside and slashed at Chasing Bull with the purple thick saber in his hand with a purple flare. He was sure that Uncle Luo would help him block anyone who tried to stop him. Ning Cheng was stronger than him, so he could only let Uncle Luo teach him a lesson. Chasing Bull was a beast, yet it dared to ask him to get lost. When had Yi Huangping ever suffered such humiliation? He would kill him first. Ning Cheng did not move. The old fart standing next to Chasing Bull chuckled and slapped him. A horrifying Dao charm aura enveloped the entire space in an instant. The young man's purple thick saber could no longer move forward, and a deathly oppressive aura surged over. The young man's eyes widened in horror, and his mouth opened wide. He could not move at all. Luo Qinghe's eyes turned cold, and he stepped forward to attack the old fart. But just as he took a step forward, he felt an even more powerful Dao charm aura blasting over. The overwhelming heaven and earth laws had completely bound him, a middle-stage primordial chaos cultivator, to the point that he couldn't move at all. Before Luo Qinghe could activate his Dao rune power, a cold voice was heard. "If it wasn't for the fact that you could cultivate such a sharp and upright sword qi, I would have slapped you to death today. Get lost." Luo Qinghe felt a horrifying force slamming into his chest, and he instantly flew backwards. Bang! Luo Qinghe slammed into the rest stops restriction, and spat out a mouthful of blood. Before he could sit up, another black shadow slammed into him. Uncle Luo, brother. When the young man standing at the back saw the 2 of them being blasted to the ground at the same time, he rushed forward in panic, and helped them up. The young man's face was pale, and he kept vomiting blood as he shouted in panic, "My spiritual sea and purple palace are gone." The old fart slap had not killed him. Instead, he had directly destroyed his cultivation, and made it difficult for him to recover. The old fart had shown mercy, because he did not want to cause too much trouble for Ning Cheng. After all, they were still in heavens beyond, and the other party had occupied booth number 10, which looked very impressive. According to the old fart standards, this slap would have destroyed the young man's bones. Luo Qinghe wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and a trace of horror flashed in his eyes. He knew that Ning Cheng was right. This was a complete mercy. If he hadn't been merciful, he would have been killed by the other party just now. This was not early-stage primordial chaos. This was definitely an expert who surpassed ordinary Dao integration experts. In the sect, apart from the sect master, no one could be this person's match. "Uncle Luo, I want to kill him. I want to kill all these people." The young man, who was almost crazy, was completely incoherent. He had such a great future, where he would be respected wherever he went. However, his cultivation had been destroyed. Until now, he still could not believe it. Luo Qinghe stood up and slapped the young man's face. Then he said in a cold tone, "I knew that one day, you would cause trouble." After saying that, he cupped his fists before Ning Cheng and said, "Thank you for showing mercy, but I will report what happened today truthfully. I don't know if anyone is looking for you." Ning Cheng said coldly, "This is the first time. If there is a second time, no one will leave my place alive. You guys can get lost." He could show mercy once, but it did not mean that he could show mercy a second time. If the sacred Tao sect dared to come and talk again, they could not blame him for killing them. Luo Qinghe grabbed Yi Huangping, who was still shouting, and was about to leave when he suddenly heard a voice. "Tao friend Ning, I wonder who made you so angry." When Luo Qinghe saw the person, he quickly put a fist on his chest and greeted. Luo Qinghe greets Tao friend Shi and Tao friend Nu. He knew both of them. They were the two top-notch experts of the Myriad Realm auction, Manager Shi and First Protector Nu Hu. What shocked him the most was Shi Lin's attitude towards the young man in front of him. "So it's Tao friend Luo. Nice to meet you." Shi Lin smiled as if he did not see Yi Huangping, who had been destroyed in Luo Qinghe's hands. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and said politely, "So it's Manager Shi. It's a pity that something happened in the Myriad Realm auction today. I wonder what the outcome is?" Shi Lin sighed. "It's a long story. My Myriad Realm auction has a few things to discuss with Tao friend Ning. I wonder if it will delay Tao friend's time?" Ning Cheng smiled. "Since I have nothing to do, please come in." Luo Qinghe's heart sank. Ning Cheng's origin was indeed extraordinary. If the sect master did not come forward, Huangping's revenge would never be avenged in this life. At this moment, he could only leave with cupped fists. As for revenge, he would wait for the sect master to return. It was wrong for Huangping to be arrogant, but crippling Yi family's Yi Huangping in the heavens beyond was definitely not a trivial matter. Tao friend Ning is really bold to directly cripple Yi family's Yi Huangping. After entering the room, Shi Lin's first words were about the young man who had been crippled by the old fart. Ning Cheng said faintly, "If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If they offend me, let alone cripple them, even if I kill them, that's it." Shi Lin clapped his hands and shouted, "Good, if people don't offend me, I won't offend them. Good, good, good. This is also the reason why I admire Tao friend Ning." After Shi Lin praised him, he pointed to the old man beside him and said to Ning Cheng, "Tao friend Ning, let me introduce you. This is the Myriad Realm auction's first guardian elder, Nu Hu." Ning Cheng gestured for the old fart, and Mu Yueping to go into seclusion. Then he took out the Heavenly Union Star Dew, and filled a cup for Shi Lin and Nu Hu. Then he said, "Tao friend Shi and Tao friend Nu Hu have come to my place despite being so busy. I wonder what advice you have for me. If you need me to help, I will definitely lend you a hand." Shi Lin sighed again. Even if the Khanate Dragon Ball was snatched away, the person who snatched it would not be able to leave the heavens beyond for the time being. "I'm not worried about this. What I regret is that Tao friend Ning did not obtain the breath soil." Sigh. As Shi Lin spoke, he kept looking at Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng also sighed. "Tao friend Shi, you can't be blamed for this. Actually, I made a mistake in bidding, and I still regret it until now. During the second call, I bid 100 billion spirit crystals. In the end, I accidentally lost it to 10 billion spirit crystals. Just when I thought that no one would bid higher than me, I heard the third call." Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Shi Lin and Nu Hu looked at each other. Did they really misunderstand Ning Cheng? Previously, when the red light flashed, it was Ning Cheng who made the bid. Did he make a mistake? However, Shi Lin quickly put this thought aside. What was Ning Cheng's cultivation? How could he make a mistake in bidding? That was absolutely impossible. Chapter 1225. Tao friend Ning, with such a thing happening to the Myriad World Auction, I shouldn't have the time to come here. It's just that my Myriad World Auction suffered losses this time. Besides asking for Tao friend Ning's help, there's no other way. Shi Lin saw that Ning Cheng didn't want to admit it, so he didn't mention it. In any case, he believed that Ning Cheng had 99% of the breath soil. Ning Cheng understood Shi Lin's meaning and spoke up calmly. It's not that I don't want to help Manager Shi, but I can't do anything about it. Nu Hu frowned and spoke up loudly. Dao friend Ning, you know why we came here today. Let's not beat around the bush. Dao friend Ning also knows why the Myriad World Auction's auction was brought forward. Now that the Myriad World Auction has lost the Breath Soil and the Xiantian Dragon Bead, coupled with the destruction of the Myriad World Auction's building. If we can't build the auction building as soon as possible and take out treasures of the same level, I'm afraid that the reputation of my Myriad World Auction will plummet. Ning Cheng understood the other party's meaning. That is, our auction house took out the Breath Soil and the Xiantian Dragon Bead because you wanted them. Therefore you, Ning Cheng, also bear some responsibility for this matter. Ning Cheng spoke up calmly. Alas, it's a pity. If we had traded these two things before, this wouldn't have happened. Shi Lin also understood Ning Cheng's meaning. That is, your Myriad World Auction wanted to take advantage of Ning Cheng and put all your hatred on me. You didn't want to exchange the treasures with me in advance. Now that something has happened, you want to ask me for my things again. How could there be such a good thing in this world? It wasn't the first or second day of dealing with Ning Cheng. Shi Lin knew that Ning Cheng was a difficult person to deal with. If it weren't for Feng Huangmei, the Mao clan would have ended up in dire straits. He cupped his fists and said, Dao friend Ning, my Myriad World Auction will soon rebuild the auction venue. Because of the lack of the Breath Soil and the Xiantian Dragon Bead, my Myriad World Auction is willing to purchase some of the essence of the universe and some chaos chi from Dao friend Ning. This loss has nothing to do with Dao friend Ning. So if Dao friend Ning takes out your things, my Myriad World Auction will not let Dao friend Ning suffer a loss. Ning Cheng wondered why Shi Lin didn't bring the mysterious yellow chi and primal chaos chi. Most likely, the Myriad World Auction already had the mysterious yellow chi. As for whether he brought the origin or not, it didn't matter. If the 10,000 Realms auction was in good condition, they could still pay attention to it. But now they had to quickly raise the reputation of the 10,000 Realms auction. As for why he didn't want the chaos chi, it was probably because he was afraid that the price would be too high. Manager Shi, I only have 1 drop of quintessential essence of the universe. As for the 5-element chaos chi, it shouldn't be much of a problem. Ning Cheng would never take out too much of the quintessential essence of the universe. The quintessential essence of the universe was different from other treasures. It was not only related to one's cultivation level. There were simply too many places where the quintessential essence of the universe could be used. The reason why Ning Cheng was willing to take out a drop of it was that he wanted to thank the Myriad Worlds auction house for providing him with the Breath Soil. Even if the Myriad Realms auction didn't want to help Ning Cheng when they took out the Breath Soil, he still felt grateful. One had to know that breathing soil was not cabbage. Sometimes, even if you had an entire planet's God spiritual vein, you might not be able to buy one. Because of this, Ning Cheng didn't let the Myriad Realms auction bid first. Of course, Shi Lin's attitude was also very sincere. Thank you, Daoist Ning. Daoist Ning, please state your price. Shi Lin was overjoyed. He knew that Ning Cheng was helping him. If he still wanted to scheme against Ning Cheng at this time, then he could forget about getting anything from Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng didn't state a price. Instead, he took out 2 jade bottles and handed them to Shi Lin. These are the 5-element chaos chi and a drop of quintessential essence of the universe. Shi Lin grabbed the 2 jade bottles excitedly. He hadn't expected that Ning Cheng would give them to him without even stating a price. He wasn't an idiot. After grabbing the jade bottles, he didn't put them away. Instead, he cupped his fists and asked, Daoist Ning, if you have any requests, just say them. As long as the Myriad Realms auction can do it, we will definitely not refuse. Ning Cheng smiled and said, I really have 2 things that I need the Myriad Realms auction to help me with. The first thing is to help me enclose a piece of land in heaven and earth's beyond. Enclose a piece of land? Shi Lin looked at Ning Cheng in confusion. Ning Cheng nodded. Yes, I'm about to leave heaven and earth's beyond, but I will definitely come back to develop in the future. Therefore, I have to ask the Infinite World Auction House to help me with this territory. The bigger the territory, the better, the more the better. If it's not enough, when I come back here again, I will definitely compensate the Myriad Realms auction. After staying in heaven and earth's beyond for some time, Ningcheng had long understood the importance of heaven and earth's beyond. As long as the Grand Essence Realm wanted to develop and not be controlled by others, it had to have a voice in heaven and earth's beyond. Otherwise, no matter how strong the Grand Essence Realm was, it would be controlled by heaven and earth's beyond one day. Imagine the experts of various planes gaining a foothold in heaven and earth's beyond. With a unified front, it would be difficult for the Grand Essence Realm to intervene in the future. Taoist Ning, don't worry. Leave this matter to the Myriad Realms auction. After hearing Ningcheng's words, Shilin put away the jade bottle and said very cautiously. He did not promise Ningcheng how much land he would enclose. After all, in heaven and earth's beyond, every inch of land was worth a lot of gold. If he promised too much land, he would have to spend countless divine crystals. Shilin suddenly thought of something. After Ningcheng entered the Mao family, he did not destroy the Mao family. Could it be that he was waiting to destroy the Mao family in the future, and then learn from that person, and take the Mao family's land for himself? Thinking of this, Shilin subconsciously glanced at Ningcheng. If Ningcheng really thought this way, it would be too terrifying. This was simply killing two birds with one stone. How scheming did one need to be to achieve such a feat? First, the land belonged to the Mao family, and no one could take it away. Before Ningcheng came next time, the Mao family would definitely help him preserve the land. Second, he had given face to Heaven's Beyond's heavenly master Feng Huangmei. When he came to heaven and earth's beyond in the future, it would be easier to talk to him. Third, he had taken a lot of divine crystals from the Mao family. Fourth, he had used the divine crystals taken from the Mao family to buy the breathing soil from the Myriad World auction. Moreover, he did not have to expose the quintessential essence of the universe and the chaos chi on the spot. Thinking of this, Shilin broke out in a cold sweat. Ningcheng was too scheming. He could only befriend such a person. Once he offended him, he was afraid that the Myriad World auction would become the next Lu family. If Ningcheng knew what Shilin was thinking, he would really be speechless. He did have some plans, but they were not as perfect as Shilin said. Taoist Ning, the Mao family is not that simple. The Mao family also has a patriarch called Mao Tianqi, who is a creation realm expert. Shilin saw that Ningcheng was generous, so he simply gave Ningcheng some advice. Sometimes, schemes were simply useless in the face of strength. I know. Didn't they say that the patriarch of the Mao family went out and would only return after 100 years? Ningcheng replied. After he returned this time, he planned to use the mysterious fairy ancient clan's growth rings to continue cultivating in seclusion. He had offended too many people in heavens beyond, so he had to work hard to improve his strength. 100 years in the depths of the growth rings was equivalent to cultivating for 10,000 years. He did not believe that he had the mysterious yellow bead, countless treasures, and the supreme Tao runes of the growth rings. He would not be able to cultivate to the Tao integration realm in 10,000 years. Given his previous cultivation speed, it would not be a problem for him to advance to the perfected Tao integration realm. He had already thought of these ideas when he had gone to the Mao family. When he had been at the perfected Tao transformation realm, he could easily challenge the primordial Tao realm. Once he reached the perfected Tao integration realm, he did not believe that he could not deal with a creation realm expert. If he had been a little worried before, after seeing Feng Huangmei, Ningcheng became more confident. Do you know why no experts from the Min family came to find you after you taught a lesson to them? Shilin saw that Ningcheng did not realize the seriousness of the matter, so he added another sentence. Nu Hu coughed on the side, apparently feeling that Shilin had said too much. These words were not what the Myriad World auction should say. Shilin smiled slightly as if he had not heard Nu Hu's cough. His strength was similar to Nu Hu's, but he was the manager, while Nu Hu was not. The main reason was that he was good at reading people. Ningcheng could not be a simple primordial chaos sacred emperor, so his future achievements would be very high. Befriending Ningcheng now was much more valuable than befriending him in the future. Now that he could gain Ningcheng's favor by saying a few words, why not? Ningcheng took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Could it be that the Min family also has a creation realm expert who is not in heavens beyond?" Lin gave Ningcheng a look of affirmation. That's right. Not only the experts from the Min family and the Mao family, but even the experts from the Myriad World Auction are not in heavens beyond for the time being. Otherwise, how could the fish from the Dragon Clan snatch the Khanate Dragon Pearl at the auction venue? They all went to the same place, but I'm not sure what they did. I'm sure that once they return, their strength will definitely go to another level. Then why didn't the heavens beyond's Lord Feng Huangmei go? Ningcheng asked doubtfully. Lin did not answer Ningcheng's question, and only shook his head. Ningcheng did not ask again. Since Lin did not say anything, there must be a reason. However, Ningcheng had learned from Lin that the expert who snatched the Khanate Dragon Pearl was from the Dragon Clan. No wonder he used the water pattern Dao Rune Divine Power as soon as he made his move. I have another thing to ask of Manager Shi. I want to look for stabilizing soil and Hung Ran. The Myriad Realm Auction is the largest auction house in the beyond of heaven and earth. If you have these two items, please leave them for me. When I come to the beyond of heaven and earth again, I'll be very grateful. After saying that, Ningcheng even stood up and cupped his fists to bow. Daoist Ning wants to restore the broken world? Lin stood up in shock when he heard Ningcheng's words. Ningcheng had obtained the breathing soil, and was now asking for stabilizing soil and Hung Ran. What else could it be if not to restore the broken world? Ningcheng sighed. I'm just thinking about this. I don't know if I can restore the broken world that I live in my lifetime, but I'll try my best. Lin bowed to Ningcheng with a solemn expression and said with a hint of respect. Daoist Ning, regardless of whether you can restore it or not, I respect your great wisdom and hard work. Chapter 1226. Even knew who was moved by Ningcheng's thoughts. Few starry sky Dao cultivators had the same thoughts as Ningcheng. The universe was vast. If one plane broke, one could just go to another plane. No one would put their energy into repairing a world, as it would be a waste of life and energy. Ningcheng had spent so much to bid for the breath soil, and this was under the circumstances where he had gained the upper hand. It was clear how difficult it was to repair a world and gather all the other treasures. Besides, even if one could gather all the treasures, who would be willing to take them out or be willing to use them to repair a world? Because of this, Lin and knew who were shocked by Ningcheng's selflessness. Daoist Ning, you injured sacred Dao Sect's Luo Qinghe. I'm afraid things won't end like this. You have to be careful. Knew who reminded Ningcheng for the first time. Lin nodded. Yes, Sacred Dao Sect's sect master destroyed the Lu family. Sacred Dao Sect's sect master was amazing. He only had primordial chaos cultivation, but he could easily kill a Dao integration cultivator. Even the Lu family's family head, Lu Qianhe, who was at the creation realm, didn't come back when he fought with that sect master. I'm afraid he was in trouble. Primordial chaos cultivation? Ningcheng asked in surprise. He himself was at the primordial chaos realm. He could also kill a Dao integration expert, but what did he cultivate? The mysterious yellow formless was a creation cultivation technique, derived from the creation mysterious yellow bead. Could it be that there was another person like him who also cultivated the creation technique? Could he kill a Dao integration expert at the primordial chaos realm? Could he even kill a creation realm expert? Ningcheng sucked in a breath of cold air. This was the first time he had heard of such a terrifying primordial chaos sacred emperor. Back when he was at the Mao family, if Feng Huangmei wanted to deal with him, he could only escape. This showed that the primordial chaos sacred emperor mentioned by Lin was stronger than him. They were both primordial chaos sacred emperors, but they were stronger than him. This made Ningcheng immediately vigilant. When that person destroyed the Lu family, was he early-stage primordial chaos or late-stage primordial chaos? Ningcheng sucked in a breath of cold air, and asked in a solemn tone. Lin also answered very seriously, neither. I heard the ancestor of the Myriad Realm Auction say that he was at the peak of mid-stage primordial chaos, and was about to reach the late-stage primordial chaos. Ningcheng breathed a sigh of relief. He had just attained the primordial chaos advancement, and was considered an early-stage primordial chaos. In addition to injuring Luo Qinghe, I also crippled an idiot. Ningcheng spoke with an indifferent tone. That young man was crippled by the old fart, but this debt would definitely be placed on his head, so he was not afraid at all. Shilin sneered. That Yi Huangping only sees himself as a nobody. In fact, if it wasn't for giving Luo Qinghe face, when he dared to rush out of the auction box to question you, my Myriad Realms auction would have thrown him out. Even if the Sacred Dao Sect's sect master came, he wouldn't say that the Infinite Domain auction did anything wrong. Ningqing nodded and did not care about Shilin's words. He reckoned that Yi Huangping was just a junior with some status in the Sacred Dao sect, so he wouldn't take this matter to heart. The Sacred Dao sect's sect master is very powerful? Directly destroy the Lu clan, and then occupy the Lu clan's territory? Ningqing asked again. If there was such a powerful person in heavens beyond, the old fart had just crippled that Yi Huangping guy not long ago, so the other party would probably find an excuse to come. He recalled what Luo Qinghe had said before leaving. It seemed that he really had to be on guard. Shilin shook his head. That's not it. The Lu clan was courting death. The Sacred Dao Sect's sect master opened a MOU elixir dispensary in heavens beyond that specialized in pill business. The MOU elixir dispensary's pills were indeed very good and cheap. This squeezed the Lu clan's business because the Lu clan's main business in heavens beyond was pills. The Lu clan purposely sent people to the MOU elixir dispensary to cause trouble, saying that there was a problem with the pills they bought, causing people to suffer from qi deviation. The MOU elixir dispensary's people came out to explain that the pills they brought weren't from the MOU elixir dispensary. In the end, the Lu clan came out and razed the elixir dispensary to the ground. They killed all the pill masters and all the employees in the elixir dispensary. One of them was the personal disciple of the Sacred Dao Sect's sect master. So ruthless. Ningqing sighed. This wasn't the end. In order to deter outsiders from opening an elixir dispensary, the Lu clan hung the heads of all the employees in the MOU elixir dispensary's ruins as a warning. Shilin sighed. The Sacred Dao Sect's sect master returned to heavens beyond at this time. When he saw the tragic state of the MOU elixir dispensary, he immediately sealed the entire heavens beyond. Heaven Lord Feng Yellowbrowed had a conflict with him because of this, but he didn't seem to gain any advantage. Feng Yellowbrowed also knew that the Lu clan had gone overboard this time, so he didn't really make a move and silently allowed the sect master to seal heavens beyond. The second thing the sect master did was seal the entire Lu clan. The Lu family had been peaceful the entire day he had been there. A day later, he and the Lu clan's ancestor fought their way out of the Lu clan and broke countless restrictions of heavens beyond into the void. A few days later, no one could break the Lu clan's restriction. Heaven Lord Feng Yellowbrowed went to the Lu clan to have a look. No one was left alive in the Lu clan. They were all killed, and the entire residence was in ruins. In order to stabilize heavens beyond, Heaven Lord Feng didn't allow anyone to get close to the Lu clan. As expected, the sect master returned a few days later, but there was no news of Lu Qianhe. Later, the major forces of heavens beyond invited the sect master to a banquet. At the same time, they gave all the Lu clan's territory to this new expert. Ningqing slammed the table. Good job. If it were me, I would also annihilate the Lu clan. He was slightly puzzled as to why heavens beyond did not want any of the Lu clan's territory, and gave it all to an outsider. Was the sect master really so powerful that he could wipe out the entire heavens beyond? Taoist Ning, the Myriad Realm auction is very busy now. Elder Nu and I won't disturb you anymore. Shilin got up and left. Ningqing knew that Shilin wanted to befriend him, so he didn't reject it. In the future, when he came to heavens beyond, he would need Shilin's help in many areas. It wasn't a bad thing for him to be friends with the Myriad Realm auction. After sending Shilin and Nu Hu away, Ningqing put up a restriction in the room and left a message outside the restriction. He was going to sculpt Jiang Man's body. MOU Elixir Dispensary was one of the most famous elixir dispensaries in the entire heavens beyond. The elixir pills here were not only complete but not expensive, but their effects were also better than similar elixir pills. Because MOU Elixir Dispensary was so famous, almost everyone who came to heavens beyond would go to MOU Elixir Dispensary to buy some elixir pills. MOU Elixir Dispensary was getting bigger and bigger. Its reputation in heavens beyond was no less than that of the myriad realm auction. At the moment, more than 10 people were discussing something in the top floor of MOU Elixir Dispensary. A young woman in a blue dress was sitting in the middle. If Ningcheng was here, he would definitely recognize this woman as the woman with the surname Yi, whom he had saved a few times. Tian Muwen was next to her. I'm going back to the sacred Tao world to comprehend primordial chaos. I'll leave this place to Brother Luo. In heavens beyond, the reason MOU Elixir Dispensary can exist isn't because of how many powerful people we have, but because of how good our elixir pills are. Our MOU Elixir Dispensary, and even Divine Tao Sect's powerful people, are really nothing compared to heavens beyond. We can even be said to be the weakest. So I hope that no matter what happens, we can endure a little. Of course, I believe that no one will bully our MOU Elixir Dispensary for no reason. The woman in blue dress said. After all these years of wandering in the void, she was no longer that ignorant young girl. The Myriad Realm auction was so powerful, but wasn't it because people robbed things at the auction? We're fine, but Deacon Huangping. A slightly hesitant voice sounded, but it didn't finish its sentence in the end. The girl in blue dress nodded. Ji Lei Qianbei, don't worry, I will take him away this time. As for this deacon, I will get rid of him. Auntie, help me take revenge. Just as the girl in the blue dress finished speaking, a mournful cry rang out. Everyone looked at the door. The person who could sneak in without anyone noticing must be Luo Qinghe. Indeed, it was Luo Qinghe standing at the door. There was a youth behind Luo Qinghe who was carrying a young man. Brother Qinghe, what's going on? The woman's face changed. How could she not see that Yi Huangping's cultivation level was crippled, completely crippled? The strongest person in MOU Pill Dispensary in heavens beyond was Luo Qinghe. Luo Qinghe got along well with her brother, and they got along well. Plus, he was grateful and respected her father, so he lowered his status and became brothers with her brother. Even Brother Qinghe couldn't protect Huangping. It seemed he caused quite some trouble this time. Tian Muwan's gaze swept over the paralyzed Yi Huangping, revealing a trace of relief. Ever since she came to MOU Pill Dispensary, she felt this person was a rat shit. Yi Huangping used the excuse of giving pills to pester her many times. If it wasn't that Sister Mo was too kind to her and her cultivation level was too low, she would have left long ago. Auntie. The youth behind Luo Qinghe bowed respectfully and retreated to the side. Luo Qinghe said with guilt, it's my cultivation level that wasn't good enough to protect Huangping. I'm sorry, Brother Bao. Bei Wang will tell you the details. The blue-robed woman ignored the crippled youth and said to the youth, Bei Wang, tell me everything from the beginning to the end without missing a single detail. Yes. The youth's tone was even more respectful and he told her everything word by word. He didn't even hide how the youth opened the door and yelled at roommate. The woman's face looked bad as she listened. When she heard Yi Huangping threaten to send someone else's Dao partner to the dual cultivation building, she was extremely furious. After the youth finished, she stared coldly at Yi Huangping. I'm wondering why other people didn't kill you and let you live? Even if the Yi family is the strongest in heavens beyond, you deserve to be killed for your arrogant behavior. Let alone the fact that the Yi family can't do whatever they want in heavens beyond. Chapter 1227. Hearing this, Yi Huangping's face changed drastically. He knew his auntie's status in the Yi family. Even his dad had to listen to auntie. Now that his auntie said this, his world dimmed down. Brother Qinghe, take me to see this powerful being. The blue-robed woman got up. Then she scanned Yi Huangping on the ground. As for him, I will bring him to MOU Immortal Sect in the Immortal Realm. Let him live there in the future. Okay. Luo Qinghe immediately agreed. No matter who Yi Huangping was, MOU Pill Tower or Divine Tao Sect had to ask about him. Muwen, come with me. The blue-robed woman called Tian Muwen. After the three walked out of MOU Pill Tower, the blue-robed woman said apologetically to Tian Muwen, sorry Muwen. I also know that Yi Huangping was rude to you. I thought we were going to leave soon and I couldn't be bothered to argue with him. He only has himself to blame for being crippled this time. Tian Muwen quickly said, if it wasn't for sister saving me many times, I would have been dead already. We don't need to talk about this. The blue-robed woman shook her head. I always thought the Divine Tao sect was invincible in the world, and my father was #1 in the universe. After I walked out, I realized that there were too many things we didn't know about this world. When I returned to heavens beyond heaven, I realized that my father hadn't even reached the 3rd step. No matter how strong you are, there will always be someone stronger. This phrase is always true. And Muin, although I saved you, it was the same as helping myself. If it wasn't for you, I would have died many times. Tian Muwan was silent. She understood elder sister Mo's words. That is, the reason why Ningcheng had saved them several times was because of her face. At this moment, she suddenly felt lonely and melancholy. So what if she cultivated to an endless lifespan? It would be better to go to a tiny restaurant with Ningcheng and have a good meal, and then happily walk around the campus. There's always someone better than you. She also understood this a bit late. Initially, she had thought that she could become a true cultivator. Knowing that she had misunderstood Ningcheng in the past, she had never thought of apologizing to Ningcheng. She even felt that there was a difference between immortals and mortals, and that she and Ningcheng were no longer in the same world. Later, she realized how ridiculous it was. She was very clear as to why Ningcheng treated her this way. Moreover, she also understood Ningcheng's temperament. Even if she felt sorry for Ningcheng, even if she caused trouble for Ningcheng, Ningcheng would never treat her like this. The real thing that Ningcheng had taken away from her heart was that hair clip. She could throw away the pearl hair clip, but she should not have put Ningcheng's pearl hair clip in the hands of another man, and then borrowed another man's hand to throw it away. Tian Muwan subconsciously touched the pearl hair clip on her chest. Her heart felt even more lonely. If she could, she would rather return to the moment before Ningcheng gave her the pearl hair clip. All these years she had traveled to many realms and experienced countless heaven realms. She had truly seen that there was always someone stronger than her. But these were really not what she wanted. Her lifespan grew longer and longer, and her strength grew stronger and stronger. However, she spoke less and less, and her life grew lonelier and lonelier. Only when she went into secluded cultivation could she forget all of it. Seeing Tian Muwan silent, the blue-robed woman did not disturb her contemplation. Instead, she looked at Luo Qinghe and asked, "Was that person arrogant?" Luo Qinghe hesitated for a moment before speaking. At the auction, because of Huang Ping's rudeness, he provoked Huang Ping with a sentence. He wasn't arrogant the rest of the time. I felt that he was a bit like Sectmaster, with an indescribable aura and Dao charm. If Huang Ping hadn't taken the initiative to provoke him, I don't think he would have provoked us. There was another sentence that Luo Qinghe didn't say. That is, Ningcheng spared him once. An arrogant person, Ningcheng most likely would have killed him directly. He didn't let Bei Wang say anything about it, nor did he say anything about it. After an incense stick worth of time, the 3 people walked into the Western Domain Space rest stop. The inn's waiter quickly stopped the 3 people. 3 Dao friends, if you are looking for room A9, please come back after a while. The waiter knew Luo Qinghe, because Luo Qinghe had come here once. Initially, he didn't pay attention to room A9, but after the Myriad Domain Auctions manager and the first protector arrived, the inn's shopkeeper came over. Moreover, he also received a message from the owner of room A9 that no one should disturb him during his seclusion. If anyone disturbed him, they would kill him without mercy. How could the Western Domain Space rest stop offend someone who knew Shilin's manager? Therefore, the shopkeeper wished that he could stand guard at the door of room A9. Now that he wasn't in the rest stop, he naturally warned the inn's waiter again and again. Why? Luo Qinghe asked with a frown. The waiter knew that these people definitely weren't simple, so he quickly bowed and said, "Seniors, please don't make things difficult for this junior. This junior is just a waiter. The guest in room A9 is at a critical juncture of his seclusion." Moreover, before he went into seclusion, the guest in room A9 said that anyone who disturbed him at this time would become his mortal enemy. Luo Qinghe frowned, and was about to speak when the blue-robed woman pulled him back. "In that case, let's leave it at that. I will return to the sacred Dao sect first, and visit them again next time." She urgently needed to gain insights into the primordial chaos realm. For her, It would be better to return to the sacred Dao sect to gain insights into this realm. At this moment, Ningqing indeed wouldn't come out even if anyone disturbed him. He had already taken out the soul-gathering immortal lotus and placed it aside. The room's spirit-gathering array was filled with divine essence pills. He had obtained these divine essence pills from the primordial chaos sacred emperors who had robbed him. They were just right for Jiang Man's body. Jiang Man's essence spirit was still hunched over in the crystal ball. Even though Ningqing had used the pill mist, Jiang Man's essence spirit in the crystal ball still twitched. Ningqing patted the soul-gathering immortal lotus next to him, and the soul-gathering immortal lotus turned into a cyan mist in front of him. As the cyan mist grew thicker, Ningqing patted the crystal ball again. Jiang Man's essence spirit in the crystal instantly fused with the cyan mist, and the aura of Dao charm lingered within it. As the divine essence pills continued to be absorbed and consumed, the soul-gathering immortal lotus and Jiang Man's essence spirit gradually condensed. Ningqing kept forming hand seals, and at the same time, he also fused several streams of 5-element chaos qi. 10 days later, Ningqing still kept grabbing spirit crystals and sending them into the spirit-gathering array. Jiang Man's body finally condensed completely. Ningqing grabbed a starry sky cultivator's robe and threw it over. Jiang Man happened to open his eyes at the same time. After a brief moment of confusion, Jiang Man immediately recognized Ningqing. "Brother Ning!" Ningqing shouted. "Hurry up and stabilize your cultivation. I'll help you." Jiang Man's body had recovered, but his cultivation had fallen to the early stage Dao sculpting level. Ningqing had used the soul-gathering immortal lotus and 5-element chaos qi, along with the divine essence pills and a pile of spirit crystals. If it were anyone else, their cultivation would have fallen to almost nothing if they tried to restore their body. Jiang Man instantly understood that the Mao clan had taken him away. Ningqing must have rescued him from the Mao clan and helped him rebuild his body. He, Jiang Man, did not recognize the wrong person. Even though he missed Mu Yueping very much, Jiang Man still quickly sat down and closed his eyes. He used the soul-gathering immortal lotus and the 5-elemental chaos qi to stabilize his body and raise his cultivation. Ningqing raised his hand and took out a drop of true essence of the universe and flicked it onto Jiang Man's body. Jiang Man immediately felt the endless Dao charm aura and pure spirit qi rushing over. He didn't even need to absorb it. He just needed to follow this Dao charm aura to restore his strength. What kind of treasure was this? Jiang Man felt shocked. He knew very well that this was definitely a supreme treasure. It wasn't like he had never seen an essence spirit restore a body. No matter what kind of essence spirit restored a body, its cultivation would drop drastically, and its aptitude would also decline. Not only did his aptitude not decline, but it even showed signs of increasing. At this moment, his cultivation had also risen sharply. Even a fool could tell that Ningqing had put in a lot of effort for him. Bang! Just when Jiang Man was about to restore his cultivation, a shadow suddenly cut through the void and landed in Ningqing's room. Ningqing felt horrified. If it were anything else, it wouldn't have mattered. But now, someone had silently broken through his array formation restrictions and landed in his room. This was simply terrifying. Almost at the same time as the black shadow fell, Ningqing's good fortune divine spear wrapped up the shadow with thousands of spear patterns filled with killing intent. "This Dao friend, please stop and listen to me." The shadow suddenly called out with a hoarse voice. However, it didn't resist Ningqing. Ningqing stopped in time with the frozen space and pointed the good fortune divine spear at the person's glabella. If this shadow dared to resist, he would freeze this person and kill him without hesitation. "Thank you." Seeing that Ningqing didn't continue and just pointed the spear at his glabella, the person felt relieved and thanked him. Even though the good fortune divine spear's killing intent penetrated his glabella and made him feel uncomfortable, he still didn't move. Only then did Ningqing see the person's appearance. He wore a gray starry sky cultivator's robe and had a mask covering his entire face. Only his eyes were exposed. The Dao charm on his body was scattered, and his clothes were tattered. There were even some dried bloodstains on the outside of his clothes. This person was seriously injured. Ningqing recognized him at a glance. This person was the person who had the guts to snatch the innate Dragon Ball at the Myriad Realm auction. Ning Cheng guessed that this person couldn't escape from heavens beyond, and it seemed that this was indeed the case. It seemed that this person was able to break his array restriction not because of any spiritual ability or array Dao, but through some kind of top-notch restriction-breaking talisman. Nevertheless, Ning Cheng still felt a little depressed. His array formation was broken by the talisman, which meant that the person who made the talisman was stronger than him. You should have recognized me. My name is Aokan, the person who snatched the innate Dragon Ball at the auction. Even if I wasn't injured, I wouldn't be your opponent. The man panted and said honestly. He had also seen Ning Cheng's attack. Ning Cheng put away the good fortune divine spear. With Aokan's seriously injured strength, he wouldn't be afraid even if he suddenly attacked him. What puzzled him was how this person recognized him. After all, he had changed his appearance at the auction. Tell me, why did you come here? If you can't tell me 3, 2, 1, I will take away your innate Dragon Ball and kill you, Ning Cheng said in a cold tone. He didn't believe that Aokan had come to him by accident. If Jiang Man's body sculpting wasn't about to be completed, Aokan's disturbance would have put Jiang Man in danger. Chapter 12:28. Aokan sighed slowly. As long as Ning Cheng listened to him, it would be fine. I'll tell you how I found you first. I'm actually a descendant of the Dragon Clan, so I'm extremely sensitive to water-attributed spirit techniques. Moreover, during the auction, my water pattern spirit technique spread over a radius of dozens of miles. When you used that space-sealing spirit technique at the auction, I caught a trace of water-attributed Dao Charm aura. Ning Cheng understood and asked, So, did you come here because you sensed my Dao Charm aura while I was helping my friend shape his body? Aokan nodded. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you were shaping your friend's body. Fortunately, you finished shaping your body, and I didn't affect it. In fact, if I had a choice, I wouldn't have bothered Dao friend. Ning Cheng waved his hand. You can go. I'll pretend I never saw you. I just became friends with manager Shi Lin of the Myriad World Auction. I'm sorry, but I can't help you. Besides, I can't help you with my strength. It would be a lie if he couldn't help. Since Aokan came here, Ning Cheng could still help him if he wanted. Ning Cheng didn't want to help. He and Shi Lin weren't friends, but he had just entrusted Shi Lin with a few things. In any case, he wouldn't help Aokan. It was already good enough that he didn't take advantage of Aokan. Aokan didn't feel disappointed. Instead, he said in a deep voice, It looks like I didn't find the wrong person. At least you didn't take advantage of the situation. Listen to what I have to say and what I can offer. If you don't want to help me after I'm done, then I'll leave immediately. Brother Ning, I succeeded. Thank you. Jiang Man, who had restored his body, stood up and cried out in surprise. Feeling Jiang Man's peak Dao birth cultivation, Ning Cheng smiled in satisfaction. We're friends. What's there to thank? Mu Yue is in the opposite room. Go and see her. I have some things to take care of here. By the way, take these jade strips and cultivate. After that, Ning Cheng took out 4 jade strips and handed them to Jiang Man. These 4 jade strips contained all the branches of the karma spirit technique. As for how far Jiang Man could go, he could only rely on himself. All right. Jiang Man grabbed the jade slip and didn't say anything else. He knew that Aokan had entered. After Jiang Man left, Aokan said, I'm actually from the 5-clawed divine dragon. I don't know if you've heard of the 10 major dragon clans, but the 5-clawed divine dragon is the noblest among them. 5-clawed divine dragon? Ning Cheng had indeed heard of this race before. He had an innate dragon pearl on him, which he found in the Grand Essence Sea's dragon washing pool. Sit down and talk, I'm listening. Hearing the words 5-clawed divine dragon, Ning Cheng immediately became interested. Aokan walked to the side and sat down. He took off the mask on his face, revealing a chiseled and resolute face. The 5-clawed divine dragon is the #1 dragon clan. They have branches in all the major planes. I'm a direct descendant of the 5-clawed divine dragon clan. Unfortunately, I'm a cripple of the dragon clan. I was born with only 4 claws. Ning Cheng could see the loss and humiliation in Aokan's eyes. From the looks of it, He had suffered a lot of grievances in the five-clawed divine dragon clan. Because I'm not Five Claws, I was named Aokan, and I was humiliated. Finally, because of a conflict over cultivation resources, I was expelled from the dragon clan. My mother worried that I would be plotted against by my fellow clansmen, so she secretly left the dragon clan to take care of me. Aokan's words were simple, but Ningcheng could hear the bitterness in them. From the looks of it, there wasn't much difference between the dragon clan and the human clan. So you want to snatch the innate dragon pearl, and then build a new territory for yourself? Ningcheng asked. The reason why Ningcheng asked this was because he knew that if the innate dragon pearl that Aokan snatched could be used to build a place similar to the dragon washing pool, he could indeed build a new territory. Aokan clenched his fists, and a trace of hatred flashed in his eyes. I'm not trying to snatch the innate dragon pearl. It's because this dragon pearl was originally mine. It belonged to my mother, and she planned to give it to me in the future. However, someone accidentally learned about it. As a result, my mother was killed to save me, and the innate dragon pearl was snatched away. Later, I wandered the void, and my cultivation gradually improved. In the mysterious yellow heavens beyond, I found the dragon pearl that was snatched away, the one from the Myriad World auction. When Ningcheng heard this, he felt sympathy for Aokan. This guy was really pitiful. If he had encountered such a thing, he might have snatched it more thoroughly, or even not bit at all. Naturally, he couldn't let others take away his mother's things. Before my mother died, I promised her that I would kill the enemy and find the innate dragon pearl to see her. At this point, Aokan took out a jade box and placed it in front of Ningcheng. This is the innate dragon pearl. I only ask that you save me and let me place this innate dragon pearl in front of my mother's grave for 3 days. I'll give this innate dragon pearl to you directly. Aokan's tone was sincere. After saying this, he raised a hand. I Aokan swear. Ningcheng waved his hand to stop Aokan from swearing. Forget it. I'm not interested in your innate dragon pearl. I don't want your dragon pearl, so you can keep it yourself. I have a quintessential world. If you enter my quintessential world, I'll take you out of the mysterious yellow heavens beyond. Aokan hadn't expected such a good thing to happen. Did he want him to go to his quintessential world, and then destroy it? If not, how could such a person exist in this world where the strong preyed on the weak? However, Aokan quickly put this thought aside. He had already placed the innate dragon pearl in front of Ningcheng. If Ningcheng wanted it, he could get it with a raise of his hand. There was no need to do this. Thank you, big brother. As long as I worship my mother, Aokan's life will belong to you in the future. Aokan fell to his knees. His resentment was not that he didn't have 5 claws, but that his mother had died because of him. If he couldn't find his mother's innate dragon pearl, he would live in guilt for the rest of his life. He didn't think that Ningcheng's cultivation level was lower than his. How could a person with a lower cultivation level kill several primordial chaos experts, and then walk away calmly under the siege of dozens of primordial chaos experts? Ningcheng took out a few healing elixirs and gave them to Aokan. He patted Aokan on the shoulder and said, "My name is Ningcheng. This is just a piece of cake for me. Don't worry about it. I'm younger than you, so just call me Ningcheng." Aokan put the elixir pills into his mouth without hesitation and said sternly again, "I'm your big brother and I'll always be your big brother. Although I'm a broken 5-clawed divine dragon, I never break my promise. It's just that there are many experts in heavens beyond. I'm afraid that the quintessential world." Ningcheng chuckled. "Don't worry. If I can't even take you out, I wouldn't have to look for the live soil here." When he went out, he would send the quintessential world into the mysterious yellow bead. Even if a creation realm expert came, he wouldn't be able to tell that he had taken Aokan away. What's more, given his current strength, even if he didn't send the quintessential world into the mysterious yellow bead, no one would be able to sense Aokan in his quintessential world. This elixir pill. Aokan suddenly exclaimed in shock. Is this a healing Dao pill? Aokan knew the value of this healing Dao pill all too well. Ningcheng had actually given him this Dao pill to heal him. He really regarded him as a friend. Ningcheng hadn't thought of it that way. This was just some healing Dao pill that he had refined himself. It was just that Aokin was a sentimental person with a good disposition. In heavens beyond, the biggest incident recently was that someone had snatched the Khanate Dragon Pearl from the Myriad Realm auction. Not only had the Khanate Dragon Pearl been taken away, but the Myriad Realm Auctions building had also been destroyed. Now that the Myriad Realm Auctions building had been rebuilt, the person who had snatched the Khanate Dragon Pearl had yet to be caught. In the Myriad Realm Auctions new building's meeting hall, Shilin and several experts looked gloomy. The person who stole the innate Dragon Ball that they had locked onto all along had suddenly disappeared. Previously, the Myriad Realm Auction had been confident about catching the person who had snatched the Khanate Dragon Pearl. However, they were a little worried now. The Myriad Realm Auction was powerful in heavens beyond, but they couldn't cover the sky with one hand. There were many restrictions in heavens beyond. If the person who snatched the Khanate Dragon Pearl was captured by other forces, or hid in someone else's territory, where could the Myriad Realm Auction find him? The reputation of the Myriad Realm Auction has fallen a lot recently. I think we should hold an exhibition of our store's treasures to gather some popularity. Knew who was the one who spoke. He knew very well that although the Myriad Realm Auction had lost the breathing soil and the Khanate Dragon Pearl, they had obtained the similarly supreme-grade treasures, the quintessential essence of the universe and the 5-element Chaos Chi. The 5-element Chaos Chi was slightly weaker, but it had all 5 elements. Shilin nodded. This was the only way now. He couldn't watch the Myriad Realm Auction's reputation continue to fall. If this went on, other forces might take the opportunity to launch an auction and suppress the Myriad Realm Auction. Just as Shilin was about to speak, he suddenly felt that something was amiss. He immediately rushed out of the meeting hall and floated in the void. When Shilin came out, he realized that several experts were already standing in the sky above heavens beyond. Daorun whirlpools were swept over in the sky above the extraterritorial space in. The law aura of these whirlpools was getting stronger. A terrifying oppressive Daorun aura came crashing down. And almost the entire heavens beyond was under this terrifying oppressive aura. Someone succeeded in Dao integration. How is this possible? Nuhu landed beside Shilin and said in astonishment. He felt that it was impossible because heavens beyond was not suitable for Dao integration at all. Even Dao validation and primordial chaos were not suitable here, let alone Dao integration. Shilin said in a deep voice. It's not impossible, but it's an ironclad fact. Not only did this person succeed in Dao integration, but his Dao runes are also powerful and his law is condensed. In terms of strength, I'm afraid he's not weaker than a mid-stage Dao integration expert. He might even be comparable to a late-stage Dao integration expert. Could it be Ningcheng? Nuhu asked doubtfully again. Shilin shook his head. That's impossible. Let's not talk about whether Ningcheng really has a primordial chaos cultivation level. His strength is definitely not weaker than ours. Furthermore, this Dao integration Dao rune aura is not comparable to Ningcheng's. No matter who it is, we should pay a visit to Daoist Ning's residence. Chapter 1229. Not bad. Old geezer, you've recovered to the Dao integration stage. Ningcheng let Ao can enter the true spirit world. After coming out, the first thing he saw was the old fogey proudly walking out of the seclusion room. Seeing the old fogey's strength, Ningcheng couldn't help but praise him. The old man's Dao runes were dense and much stronger than Mao Tai from the Mao family. As expected, none of these old things were simple. No matter how proud the old man felt, he didn't dare to be rude to Ningcheng. He quickly thanked him. If it weren't for Senior's power, this junior wouldn't have recovered to Dao unification so quickly. Brother Ning. Big Brother Ning. Mu Yueping also came out in time. The sadness on Mu Yueping's face had long disappeared. Even though his eyes were slightly red, his spirit was no longer the same as before. After chatting with Mu Yueping, Jiang Man naturally came to know how much effort Ningcheng had put in to save him. More importantly, he understood that Ningcheng had given him the complete karma cultivation method. Ningcheng understood Jiang Man's gratitude and smiled. Dao Frenchie of the Myriad Circle's Commerce Chamber of Commerce is here. As for the cultivation method, you can figure it out yourself. After saying that, Ningcheng directly opened the room's restriction. Jiang Man and Mu Yueping also knew that this wasn't the place to talk, so they didn't continue to talk. The restriction covering Ning Cheng's room had just opened when Shi Lin and Nu Hu walked over. Shi Lin, who was still far away, laughed and cupped his fists before speaking. Dao friend Ning, I've come to disturb you again. This time, I'm here to congratulate you on your successful Dao integration. It's obvious how powerful your Dao marks are to be able to succeed in heavens beyond. Shi Lin had visited Ningqing a few times before. Although Ningqing knew about this old fogey, he did not take it to heart. Now that he had seen the old Qi being successfully fused with his Dao runes, he regretted that he had misjudged him. Even though Shi Lin was a Dao integration stage holy emperor, the old fart really didn't take him seriously. Ningqing quickly spoke up. This is Dao friend Jiang Zhong. He used to have a nickname called Pingding Heavenly Emperor. So senior is Great Emperor Pingding. Shi Lin was instantly moved. He had heard of Pingding before. Although he wasn't a super strong expert, he was still someone who had left his name behind. Although he was also at the Dao integration realm, it was only right for him to address Pingding as senior. The old man chuckled. I'm getting old. It was only by following behind Senior Ning that I slowly restored a bit of my cultivation. Although he said that, the old fart was inwardly very pleased with himself. Senior Ning? Shi Lin felt even more shocked about Ning Cheng's origins. Just how terrifying was the person whom Emperor Pingding addressed as senior. No wonder Ning Cheng could easily deal with Dao integration experts with his primordial chaos strength. So he was also the reincarnation of a senior. Fortunately, he did not offend this senior. Ningqing found it funny. He knew that he was not a senior, so he could only say, recently there have been many troubles in the heavens beyond. I'll be leaving the heavens beyond. The next time I come here, I'll go to the Myriad Realm auction to visit Daoist Shi. Fellow Daoist Shi, you don't have to feel burdened. We'll still call each other fellow Daoist. Not to mention that Shi Lin already regarded Ningqing as a senior. Even if he didn't know that Ningqing was a senior, if Ningqing wanted to leave, he couldn't stop him. Therefore, he quickly spoke up. Okay, I'll listen to Dao friend Ning. The Myriad Realms auction has just been rebuilt and is preparing to hold a treasure exhibition. If fellow Daoist Ning is not in a hurry, you can take a look at my Myriad Worlds auction. Ningqing thanked him and spoke. I indeed have an urgent matter to take care of. Dao friend, she can rest assured that the next time I come, I will definitely stay here for a long time. Since Ningqing said this, Shi Lin couldn't keep him. He personally escorted Ningqing out of the heavens beyond before returning. In the void far away from the heavens beyond, Ningqing called out Aoken, this place is already far away from the heavens beyond. You can go. I have to go back too. Aoken bowed to Ningqing. I was afraid of an accident before, so I didn't dare to take my mother's body with me. Now, I'm going to pay my respects to my mother and bring her body back. Where is the senior? After I pay my respects, I'll go find the senior. Ningqing hesitated a little before saying, I live in the Grand Essence realm of the 5 great realms. The largest place in the Grand Essence realm is the Grand Essence Sea. In the future, if you want, you can stay in the Grand Essence Sea. He felt that Aoken wasn't a cunning person, so he didn't hide it. An expert like Aoken settling down in the Grand Essence realm would only bring benefits to the Grand Essence realm. Yes, Aoken will bid farewell to Big Brother first. After saying that, Aoken's body turned into a wave of water ripples and disappeared instantly. This person is very strong. The old fogey felt Aoken's strength and suspected that Aoken was the person who robbed the auction. Let's go to the void city of the 5 realms as fast as we can. Old fogey, you control the starry sky wheel. I have to go into seclusion to study something. Ningqing directly handed over the control of the starry sky wheel to the old fogey. In less than 3 years, the starry sky will stop outside the void city of the 5 realms. The old fogey had already recovered to the Dao integration realm. Therefore, even if the starry sky will had no artifact spirit, he could still control it extremely quickly. If it weren't for the delay in changing the teleportation arrays in the Void City, the old fogey estimated that it wouldn't have taken him 3 years. After controlling the starry sky wheel for 3 years, the old fogey started to covet the starry sky wheel. He had seen countless flight-type weapons, but none of them could compare to the starry sky wheel. Senior has arrived. As soon as they arrived outside the void city of the Five Realms, the old fogey respectfully called out to Ning Cheng. He was bored out of his mind. Jiang Man and Mu Yueping had low cultivation levels, and were cultivating on the starry sky wheel. Moreover, he didn't like to chat with the two of them. The old fogey liked chasing bull the most, and liked to chat with it. However, this fellow had been taught a lesson by Senior and knew that it was weak. Therefore, it had entered Ning Cheng's quintessential world to cultivate. Now that he arrived at the void city of the Five Realms, he quickly went to call Ning Cheng. So fast. Ning Cheng walked out of seclusion, and marveled at the old fogey's speed. Over the past few years, he had been studying the array Dao intermittently. Initially, he felt that his array Dao was good enough. However, after Aokan's talisman broke it, Ning Cheng felt that his array Dao level was still far behind. He had already comprehended the array Dao insights that Nianyan had given him, and had even deduced many of his own array Dao concepts. As for the karma spiritual technique, Ning Cheng only glanced at it briefly before putting it aside. He had some interest in the 12 words mantra spiritual technique, but he wasn't interested in the other branches of the karma spiritual technique. When I recover to the perfected Dao integration realm, it might not even take a year to get here from heavens beyond of heaven and earth. The old fogey started to brag. He made up his mind and followed behind Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng was a big backer. Not only did he have many good things, but he also didn't like to snatch other people's treasures. The reason why he said those words was that he wanted Ning Cheng to see his value. Not bad. Ning Cheng patted the old fogey's shoulder. Let's go to the teleportation array, and get ready to go to the Great Change Realm. Something's not right here. As soon as Ning Cheng entered the void city of the Five Realms, he felt that something was different. He had been to the void city of the Five Realms twice. Each time he came, it was bustling with all kinds of cultivators. However, the streets of the void city of the Five Realms seemed a little deserted this time. Ning Cheng quickened his pace and arrived at the teleportation array. He had made up his mind that if the person controlling the teleportation array didn't allow him to enter the Great Change Realm, he would use force. What surprised Ning Cheng even more was that the outside of the void city of the Five Realms was deserted, but the hall where the teleportation array was located was overcrowded. There were people coming and going, and people were being teleported away. Everyone was in a hurry. Another thing that puzzled Ning Cheng was that the teleportation array leading to the Great Change Realm was always full. It seemed like there was no restriction on the number of teleportation slots, or the number of times. What was going on? Ning Cheng raised his hand and grabbed a Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor beside him. Dao friend, may I ask why there are no restrictions on going to the Great Change Realm, and why there are so many people coming and going? The Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor felt that Ning Cheng was far stronger than him and quickly replied respectfully. The demonic creatures in the Great Change Realm's underground abyss erupted and all the seals and restrictions were broken. The Great Change Realm simply opened the teleportation array. Each teleportation only costs 500,000 God crystals. Anyone can teleport to the Great Change Realm to kill demonic creatures. Jiang Man asked in confusion. Are these people so good that they still want to pay God crystals to kill demonic creatures in the Great Change Realm? Ning Cheng let go of the Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor and explained. The Great Change Realm has complete laws. Even if there are no benefits, paying 500,000 God crystals to cultivate is the dream of any starry sky cultivator. What's more, they have other benefits. After killing demonic creatures, they can obtain demonic crystals with pure spirit essence. This thing is better than spirit essence pills for cultivation. Yes, let's go and have a look together. The old man smiled. He naturally knew about demonic creatures. Although demonic crystals didn't have much use for him, he could use a large number of demonic crystals to exchange for starry sky treasures. Ning Cheng said to Jiang Man and Mu Yueping. The old man and I will go to the Great Change Realm. You guys teleport back from here. Tell Li Fengting and the others that I'm fine and we'll be back in a while. Okay. Jiang Man and Mu Yueping immediately responded. After sending Jiang Man and Mu Yueping away, Ning Cheng and the old man paid 1 million God crystals, and easily teleported from the Five Realms Void City to the Great Change Realm. The teleportation array from the Five Realms Void City to the Great Change Realm was built in the Yuanyuan Sacred Tao City. The Yuanyuan Sacred Tao City was actually just a place to stay. People who teleported here would leave quickly. Few people would stay in the Yuanyuan Sacred Tao City for long. The last time Ning Cheng came here, there were very few people here. But this time, when Ning Cheng came to the Yuanyuan Sacred Tao City, he realized what had changed. How could the Yuanyuan Sacred Tao City be sparsely populated? It was also overcrowded. All kinds of stalls were set up everywhere. Most of the stalls had various kinds of demonic crystals or underground ores on them. As soon as Ning Cheng and the old man arrived, they heard the hustle and bustle in their ears. The place with the most people in the Yuanyuan Sacred Tao City was also the teleportation array. The teleportation array clearly stated that it would cost 10,000 god crystals to teleport to the periphery of the underground abyss. Chapter 1230. The entrance to the underground abyss was in the Scorched Tree Temple, which Ning Cheng had come to before. At that time, he could still see the withered tree stretching for tens of thousands of miles, and the endless withered roots under the withered tree. The aura of death and decay could be felt from afar. This was the second time Ning Cheng came here, and it was filled with grayish demonic qi. The violent aura filled the entire world. As for the Scorched Tree Temple that stretched for tens of thousands of miles, it had long since disappeared. Most likely, the scorched tree had long since disappeared into the depths of the demonic qi. Outside the grayish demonic qi, there were some temporary isolation array formations. Many human cultivators and some demonic creatures fought at the edge of these array formations, and humans and demonic creatures died every moment. White bones littered the ground. From this, one could imagine how many people had fallen here. Ning Cheng secretly felt ashamed. The demonic creature's early outbreak should have something to do with him. He didn't know if it was because he broke the seal, or because he absorbed the spirit essence suppressing the underground demonic creatures. The old man standing next to Ning Cheng didn't have such thoughts. He licked his lips. So many demonic creatures. It looks like I'm going to make a fortune. At this moment, a shrill sound of war drums rang out. Following that, countless Dao Court's cultivator army, rogue cultivators, sect disciples, and demonic creatures clashed together. Screams and sounds of weapons bombarding rang out. The demonic creatures continued to devour the essence spirits of human cultivators, and the demonic creatures' demonic crystals were also taken away by human cultivators. Ning Cheng looked at the countless cultivators falling silently without a word. According to reason, the Grand Change Realm had invaded the Grand Essence Realm twice, and the Grand Change Realm suffered some damage. But now he couldn't feel happy at all. Senior, should we also go and make some money? In the eyes of the old man, there were countless high-grade demonic crystals here. For him, it was the same as making a fortune. As for the cultivators who fell, it was because they weren't strong enough. If they wanted to go further and obtain more cultivation resources, they would have to go all out. Back then he had also experienced the same thing. The Great Tao was ruthless, and this was just a manifestation of it. Ning Cheng was just about to nod when suddenly a crisp gong sound rang out. The human cultivators retreated, and the demonic creatures also seemed to have a tacit understanding and retreated. Only some scattered human cultivators, and the lone demonic creatures were still fighting. Ning Cheng's heart sank. When the demonic creatures from the underground abyss erupted, he had also fought against them. It was a battle without reason or order. Regarding this kind of battle, Ning Cheng simply did not care about it. No matter how powerful the demonic creatures were, they were basically unorganized and could not do anything to the human cultivators. However, this was not the case. These monsters were clearly organized and orderly. They were attacking and retreating with a leader. No, let's go to the command hall. I want to see my old friend Yin Xingwen. By the way, there are also those Dao Court's Dao Lords. Ning Cheng looked at the towering buildings in the distance and smiled. Whether it was the beating of the drums or the ringing of the gongs, they all came from this hall. It seemed that this towering hall was temporarily built by the Great Change Realm to deal with the devils. Tens of thousands of miles around the main building were all kinds of cave dwellings. Some simple market squares and street stalls were set up everywhere, and there was an endless stream of people coming and going. It was true that many cultivators would die here every day. However, even more demonic crystals would appear every day. Because of these demonic crystals, people were advancing at every moment. Ning Cheng and the old fogey walked in without anyone stopping them. In other words, anyone could come in and then go out. Bang! A slight spatial fluctuation emerged from a temporary immortal cave next to him, causing Ning Cheng to subconsciously stop in his tracks. Although his spiritual consciousness did not penetrate the temporary cave dwelling, he could feel that someone was fighting with this spatial fluctuation. Wasn't this a place where the Great Change Realm human cultivators gathered? How could someone fight in a cave dwelling? Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness immediately swept in. The cave dwelling's simple isolation restrictions were like paper to Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness. This cave dwelling turned out to be a huge hall. But to Ning Cheng's surprise, 4 men sat in the middle of the hall. Apart from them, 7 or 8 women stood in the middle of the hall. Without exception, these women all wore very little, and had their cultivations sealed. A man with only Dao Birth Realm cultivation stood in front of a tall woman with an angry expression on his face. The tall woman's mouth was overflowing with blood. Ning Cheng could tell at a glance that this tall woman had forcibly broken free from the shackles. Brother Zipping, find another one to sleep with. This one doesn't know what's good for him. It's better to send him to a sealed demonic creature. A man sitting in the middle said. The Dao Birth Divine Emperor, who was addressed as Brother Zipping, grinned. I want to sleep with this chili pepper. She doesn't know what's good for her. Hee hee, I like women who don't know what's good for them the most. The Dao Birth Divine Emperor's voice stopped abruptly, and he found himself lifted up by the neck. Let him go. The 4 men sitting above stood up at the same time and shouted in shock. Ning Cheng raised his hand, and threw the Dao Birth Divine Emperor out. Without waiting for the 4 men to breathe a sigh of relief, Ning Cheng continued. Old fogey, throw these grasshoppers aside. I'll ask them. The old fogey raised his hand, and the 5 men fell to his feet. They couldn't even resist. All of this happened quickly. It wasn't until Ning Cheng sat at the top of the hall that the people in the hall reacted. Feeling the pressure of death, the man called Brother Zipping's eyes flashed with fear. He called out in a trembling voice, My name is Su Zipping. I'm from the Su clan. Oh, I've never heard of it. Who's the Su clan? Ning Cheng patted the corner of the chair beside him and asked. The tall woman, who had blood dripping from the corner of her mouth because of her resistance, said in a hoarse voice, It's Su Xinghe's family. Su Xinghe is one of the 3 Grand Array Dao Grandmasters of Tai Continent. I heard that he has already reached Dao integration, and is even a mid-stage Dao integration expert. Oh, Ning Cheng looked at the tall woman in surprise and said, Aren't you afraid that I'll be afraid and run away immediately without saving you? The tall woman smiled bitterly. I don't want to live anymore. I just hope that Senior can give me a quick death when you leave. Ning Cheng nodded, and threw a medicinal pill into the tall woman's mouth. At the same time, he shot out a few Dao runes. The 7 women who had been imprisoned around him all released their shackles in an instant. The women were pleasantly surprised and quickly came forward to thank Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng waved his hand and asked the tall woman, Tell me, why did you capture you and bring you here? Is it to set up the pure body suppression seal again? The tall woman bowed. Ning Cheng's medicinal pill, and the fact that he could easily release the shackles of the others without moving his body told her that Ning Cheng was an absolute powerhouse. The old fogey had taken away several Dao birth and Dao sculpting experts out of thin air, which was even more terrifying. Replying to Senior, That's right. The underground demonic creatures are getting more and more powerful. Although the Great Change Realm doesn't seem to be at a disadvantage, many people know that if this continues, the Great Change Realm will be completely occupied by demonic creatures sooner or later. Therefore, the Great Change Realm's Dao courts and sects, as well as the Great Change Realm's Realm Lord Yin Xingwen, want to use the same method to seal the underground demonic creatures. When the tall woman said this, Ning Cheng's expression turned a little solemn. It wasn't a trivial matter for a realm to be occupied by demonic creatures. Even if he had a grudge against the Great Change Realm's Yin Xingwen, he couldn't just sit back and watch this happen, not to mention that this matter was directly related to him. "What's your name?" Ningqing asked. This tall woman was only at the Tao sculpting realm, but she had a lot of insight and spoke clearly. In a few simple words, she explained the general situation. Not only that, but she also deduced that the Great Change Realm couldn't stop the impact of these demonic creatures. The tall woman bowed and said, "Junior's name is Qiao Xiaolan, a rogue cultivator." Ningqing nodded and continued to ask, "As far as I know, now that the demonic creatures have completely erupted, I'm afraid it's not realistic to use women as pure bodies to suppress the seal." Qiao Xiaolan clenched her fists, and a trace of sadness flashed across her face as she said, "Because Su Xinghe is a Pika-Ray Dao Grandmaster, he proposed to use 18,000 girls to refine pure bodies to suppress the sealing pillars, to suppress the underground demonic beings." Ningqing also felt shocked when he heard these words. How many dog heads did it take to come up with such a rotten idea? Not to mention that 18,000 girls couldn't suppress the underground demonic creatures. Even if they could suppress them, how many days could they last? "How do you know about this?" Ningqing suddenly felt suspicious. If there really was such a thing, it wouldn't have been leaked. If it was leaked, then it would have been strange if so many cultivators came here to kill demonic creatures. "Because he just told me that we're just a small group. Once the inspection is over, we'll be imprisoned in a place and wait to refine the sealing pillars." Qiao Xiaolan pointed to Su Zipping, who had been stepped on by the old man, and spoke through gritted teeth. Ningqing understood that Su Zipping wanted to use this information to threaten Qiao Xiaolan. He looked at Su Zipping coldly. Su Zipping saw Ningqing looking at him and quickly said, "This has nothing to do with me. You can't touch me." Ningqing waved his hand and said to the old man, "Kill them all." The old man smiled, and the Dao runes under his feet spread out. Including Su Zipping, the 5 men directly turned into nothingness under his feet. The eyes of Qiao Xiaolan and the others twitched. This kind of strength that could turn a Dao nourishment holy emperor into nothingness. Most likely, this person was at the perfected primordial chaos realm, right? Ningqing stood up and said to Qiao Xiaolan and the other women, "I'm going to find Yin Xingwen, but you have to swear not to tell anyone about this. Otherwise, I will kill you." Once such a thing spread, the Great Change Realm's alliance against the demonic creatures would immediately collapse. Qiao Xiaolan understood Ningqing's meaning and quickly said, "Senior, please put it down. This junior will stay by Senior's side, and will never tell anyone about it." The rest of the women hurriedly swore that they would not speak of this matter. Ningqing was just about to ask Qiao Xiaolan what she was doing by his side, when he suddenly remembered something. His expression immediately changed. "Old man, come with me to find Yin Xingwen." Chapter 1231. Stop, this is the command hall. 2 Dao transformation divine emperors stopped Ningqing and the old man at the entrance of the hall's defensive formation. Scram. The old man had already felt Ningqing's displeasure. Now that someone stopped them, he raised his hand and slapped them twice. The 2 Dao transformation divine emperors were sent flying by him, and the defensive formation of the command hall also cracked. Which Dao friend is it? Now is the time of the Grand Change Realm's crisis. How dare you attack my Grand Change Command Hall's defensive formation? A deep voice rang in Ningqing and the old man's ears the moment Ningqing stepped into the formation. The old man chuckled. "It's your grandpa Ping Ding." As they spoke, Ningqing and the old man landed in the spacious and luxurious hall. The restrictions along the way were easily torn apart by the two of them. Even if it was a temporary hall for the Grand Change Realm cultivators and the demonic creatures of the underground abyss, the luxury of this hall still surprised Ningqing. The hall was full of people, and Yin Xingwen sat at the head of the table. The people sitting on both sides of Yin Xingwen were all powerhouses. In this place, Ningqing could see the strength of the Grand Change Realm. There were at least 10 Dao integration powerhouses here. The Grand Essence Realm's strength was nothing compared to this place. Sitting next to Yin Xingwen was Feng Xian. Ningqing didn't expect this guy to still be here. In addition, Ningcheng also knew Ao Beijiang, Wuxiao, Lei Xiran, Yi Qianhua, Wei Xinghao and others. Ningcheng, it's you? Ao Beijiang was the first to stand up with a hint of surprise in his eyes. He didn't expect Ningcheng to come to him today. He was courting death. So it's Dao Lord Ning from the Grand Essence Dao Court. A woman stood up and cupped her fists towards Ningcheng. I'm Dao Lord Bai Ling from the Yahua Dao Court. This is our Yahua Dao Court's guardian, Guruwashi. Guruwashi was a middle-aged woman sitting next to her. She looked ordinary, but her Dao runes were completely integrated with the surrounding heaven and earth laws. Clearly, she was extremely powerful. When the Grand Change Dao Court's army besieged Grand Essence under Yin Xingwen's leadership, the Yahua Dao Court was the only one who didn't send out their army. Now that Ningcheng came in, Yahua Dao Court's Dao Monarch Bai Ling took the initiative to greet him. Ningcheng quickly stepped forward and cupped his fists. So it's Dao Monarch Bai Ling. Ningcheng greets Dao Monarch and Dao friend Guruwashi. Ningcheng will always remember the righteousness of the Yahua Dao Court. The Yahua Dao Court was in the Great Change realm, but they didn't send the Dao Court's army to attack Taisu. Although the Taisu Dao Court's army had defeated the Tai Dao Court's army, it was definitely due to Qing Lan's timely participation. What would have happened if Guruwashi had joined the Tai Dao Court army instead of Qing Lan? Therefore, when Ningcheng spoke about righteousness, it was not just nonsense. Although Guruwashi looked ordinary, she had a slender figure and a solid Dao rune. Her cultivation level was definitely not lower than the late-stage Dao integration realm. Guruwashi smiled and nodded at Ningcheng. Dao Lord Ning is an amazing talent. Your future achievements will definitely surpass ours. Perhaps we'll have to rely on Dao Lord Ning for many things in the future. The old fart standing next to Ningcheng sneered in his heart. What do you mean by far surpassing you in the future? Not to mention Ningcheng, even I, Ping Ding, will beat you. After Guruwashi finished speaking, she stood up and cupped her fists at the old fart. Is this Senior Jiang Zhong, the great Emperor Ping Ding from back then? When the old fart heard that someone still remembered him, he suddenly laughed. I didn't expect that someone would still remember me, Jiang Zhong. I, Ping Ding, am optimistic about you. Initially, everyone was a little puzzled as to why Guruwashi stood up and cupped her fists in front of the old fart. But after hearing the name Great Emperor Ping Ding, they completely understood. At this time, all the sacred emperors who knew the old fart stood up and greeted him with cupped fists. Instead, Ningcheng was ignored. Ao Beijiang, who was about to attack Ningcheng, had his expression change a few times. However, he held back and greeted the old fart. Yin Xingwen acted as if he didn't know about the previous gap and said to Ningcheng with a smile, Dao Lord Ning and Great Emperor Ping Ding, please take a seat. As he spoke, 2 more seats were added to the front seats. At this time, everyone understood why Ningcheng dared to come here alone. It turned out that he relied on the protection of Great Emperor Ping Ding. Just when everyone thought that Ningcheng would follow behind Ping Ding, Heavenly Emperor, and take a seat, a shocking scene took place. Great Emperor Ping Ding didn't sit down but spoke to Ningcheng respectfully. Senior, please take a seat first. Senior? Please take a seat first? What was going on? In an instant, everyone's eyes focused on Ningcheng. Senior of Great Emperor Ping Ding, what was the origin of this Ningcheng? Ningcheng didn't sit down but looked at Yin Xingwen and asked, Realm Master Xingwen, I don't think this is the first time we've met. Yin Xingwen showed a slight smile. Dao Lord Ning is right. Although there were some misunderstandings before, Dao Lord Ning took the initiative to help before the demonic beast disaster. I've long forgotten about those small misunderstandings. Yin Xingwen naturally knew that although there were more than a dozen Dao Unification sacred emperors here, only a few could help him if he really wanted to attack Ningcheng. Moreover, Great Emperor Ping Ding wasn't a simple person. A simple person would have died a long time ago. Even if they could kill Ningcheng here, they wouldn't be able to kill Ping Ding. What's more, with Ping Ding here, how could he kill Ningcheng? He might as well say that Ningcheng had come to help. Seeing Yin Xingwen putting righteousness in front of him, Ningcheng still spoke indifferently. When I came, I saw a man named Su Zipping capture a few female cultivators. I heard that he wanted to set up some ceiling restriction array. As Ningcheng spoke till here, He felt an ice-cold gaze sweeping towards him. Ning Cheng stared at it without hesitation. It was a thin man in black robes with a strong Dao rune. At first glance, he could tell that he was a middle-stage Dao unification expert. Ning Cheng guessed that this person should be Su Xinghe, who advocated the pure body seal. Su Xinghe proposed it. What? Do you have a problem with it? The thin man in black suddenly stood up and spoke in a cold tone. I have a problem with it, so I killed that ant named Su Zipping. Ning Cheng replied in a cold tone. You're courting death. When the thin man in black heard that Su Zipping had been killed, his killing intent immediately spread out. To him, Su Zipping was an insignificant person. However, Ning Cheng had said in front of so many people that he had killed Su Zipping from the Su family. If he did not kill Ning Cheng, where would he put his face as a Dao unification expert? A powerful killing intent Dao rune blasted towards Ning Cheng. As if they had agreed beforehand, none of the holy emperors in the hall moved, letting the powerful killing intent Dao rune press down on Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng did not move, but the old man beside him moved. Little thing, your grandpa Pingding killed that ant. While speaking, Great Emperor Pingding's figure flashed, and the same killing intent Dao rune swept towards Su Xinghe. Su Xinghe was at the middle stage Dao unification, a little higher than the old man. However, given Pingding's strength, even a late-stage Dao unification expert might not be his opponent, let alone Su Xinghe, who focused on the array Dao. The two nomological forces rolled together, and a violent killing intent Dao rune swept out. Fortunately, everyone in the hall was an expert. Therefore, the killing intent Dao rune could not spread out at all, and was blocked by the experts in the hall. Neither of them used their Dharma treasures, and the old man's killing intent directly suppressed Su Xinghe. Just by exchanging blows, Su Xinghe knew that he was not the old man's opponent. Not only was he not the old man's opponent, but he was also far from it. At that moment, the two's Dao runes and killing intents were entangled. If he wanted to escape as soon as possible, he would have to use his Dharma treasure. Su Xinghe's hand grabbed at the void, and a mottled 8 trigrams disc appeared in the void. While Su Xinghe's 8 trigrams disc appeared, Great Emperor Pingding also brought out his heaven and earth cauldron. How dare he say that Senior Ning was courting death? Therefore, this kid had to die. Su Xinghe's face turned cold. His strongest strength was not in battle, but in the array Dao. After he escaped, he would not be one of the 3 great array Dao masters of the Tai sect if he did not use the array formation to trap the two of them. The 8 trigrams disc had just flickered when Su Xinghe felt a terrifying spiritual consciousness storm blasting into his sea of consciousness. Then, a powerful explosive nomological power started raging in his sea of consciousness. Boom! Su Xinghe's entire body trembled. The next moment he lost contact with his 8 trigrams disc. Someone had sneak attacked his sea of consciousness from the side. Su Xinghe's entire body turned cold. He did not expect that someone could silently blast into his sea of consciousness. When Su Xinghe saw Ning Cheng sneering at him from afar, he instantly understood. This was the early-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor. Yet this early-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor could seize the opportunity to blast into his sea of consciousness the moment he brought out his Dharma treasure. This was simply too terrifying. Su Xinghe frantically tried to restore his spiritual consciousness and regain the right to escape, but the old man did not give him the chance. If the old man could not seize this opportunity, he would not be able to earn the title of Great Emperor Pingding. The heaven and earth cauldron turned into a huge mountain and directly blasted against Su Xinghe's body. No matter how strong Su Xinghe's physical body was, he could not resist the heaven and earth cauldron. When the heaven and earth cauldron fell, Su Xinghe was blasted into pieces. Su Xinghe's principal spirit had just emerged when it was completely strangled by the heaven and earth cauldron's shadow. It was not until the old man put away the heaven and earth cauldron and stood casually beside Ning Cheng that everyone in the hall completely understood what had happened. They had planned to let Su Xinghe test Ning Cheng's strength. They had not expected that Ning Cheng would not even move, and Su Xinghe would be blasted to death. Only a few top-notch experts could see that Ning Cheng had sneak-attacked Su Xinghe with his spiritual consciousness. Xiao Xiaolan, who had followed Ning Cheng in, was completely stunned. Ning Cheng was a Dao lord of a realm. She could not figure it out. Now even a Dao integration expert like Su Xinghe had been turned into nothingness in just a few moves. Dao Lord Ning, Daoist Su is the top array Dao master in the Great Change realm. Daoist Su contributed a lot to the demonic invasion this time. Daoist Ning killed Daoist Su the moment he arrived. I'm afraid this is not justifiable. Yin Xingwen had wanted to see the strength of Ning Cheng or the old man. He had not expected that Su Xinghe would be killed before he even had a chance to rescue them. Chapter 1232. However, Ning Qing didn't give Yin Xingwen any face and spoke up in a cold voice. Yin Xingwen, you're the master of the Grand Change realm. Yet, you used tens of thousands of innocent girls in the Grand Change realm as pure bodies to suppress the seal. I don't need to say anything, but I believe that everyone here knows about it. Not only do they need young girls, but they also need to be extremely kind-hearted. Could it be that kindness was used by others? If this goes on, wouldn't the world be filled with evil people? Since Su Xinghe proposed such a vicious sealing method, why wouldn't I kill him? Could it be that this vicious sealing method wasn't proposed by Su Xinghe, but by Starwen Realm Lord? If that's the case, then I can apologize to Su Xinghe and ask for Starwen Realm Lord's opinion. Yin Xingwen was a shrewd person. Despite Ning Cheng's words, he still asked calmly, so if such a thing happened in the Grand Essence Realm, Dao Lord Ning would rather let the Grand Essence Realm perish than do such a thing to save a few people? Ning Cheng laughed, but there was no smile on his face. Instead, his tone carried a hint of disdain. If the people of the entire realm didn't even have the courage to fight to the death and needed the kindest people to nail their souls and primordial spirits to the sealing pillars to save them, then this realm wouldn't even need to exist. What's the difference between living and dying in a realm with no kind souls? In life, there are things that one shouldn't do. Xingwen Realm Lord used countless innocent and kind-hearted young girls to save a world. Didn't he feel any shame in dragging out his life? If such a thing happened in the Grand Essence Realm, then all the cultivators of the realm would fight and die. Good. Yahua Dao Court's Dao Lord Bailing stood up and applauded. Behind Dao Lord Bailing, a middle-aged Confucian scholar also stood up and clapped. Dao Lord Ning's words are enlightening. If we hide behind a group of kind-hearted women, then no matter how great our achievements in the future, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to make any further progress. At this point, the middle-aged Confucian scholar deliberately walked out and bowed to Ning Cheng. Thank you, Dao Lord Ning, for enlightening me with your words. Otherwise, my heart-dispelling water would only be at Dao integration in the future. Only then did Ning Cheng know who the person who had come forward was. He quickly cupped his fists and said, "It turns out to be Dao Lord Jie of the Taishan Dao Court. I just saw human nature. Dao friend Jie's vision is far better than mine." Ning Cheng cupped his fists in return. What he said was the truth. He did not want to do these things because of his temperament. He did not think that it was related to his great Dao. Jie Xinshui was actually able to tell that once he did something like this, it would affect his Dao in the future. Jie Xinshui said seriously, "Dao Lord Ning's words are wrong. I'm not as good as Dao Lord Ning. I'm still thinking about my own improvement, and the great Dao." Dao Lord Ning himself, from the depths of his heart, is unwilling to do this. From this, you can see that Dao Lord Ning's Dao far surpasses mine. Before Ning Cheng could answer again, a sneering voice arrived. So if something like this happens in the Grand Essence Realm, Dao Lord Ning would rather die than surrender and would eventually die in battle. Ning Cheng looked at the person who spoke and spoke with an ice-cold tone. "Ao Beijiang, I'll settle your account with you slowly. There's no need to rush. But I can answer your question. If something like this happens in the Grand Essence Realm, I, as a Dao Lord of this realm, might not be the last to die, but I will definitely fight to the end." Dao Lord Ning is a man of character. I, Gu Sisi, agree with Dao Lord Ning's words. Another strong man with a short beard stood up. Seeing Ning Cheng look over, the man cupped his fists again and said, "I'm Gu Sisi, the sect master of the vast space Dao sect. Greetings, Dao Lord Ning. I believe everyone understands what Dao Lord Ning means. We can fight against the demonic creatures. Even if we can't defeat them in the end, we can retreat as the last person. As cultivators, There are things that we should do and things that we shouldn't do. Ningcheng quickly returned the greeting. So it's Dao friend Gu. Nice to meet you. Ningcheng had never heard of Gu Sisi, but he had heard of the vast space Dao sect. It was one of the 3 major Dao sects in the Grand Change realm, second only to the 5 major Dao courts. Seeing more and more people getting involved with Ningcheng, although Yin Xingwen's expression remained the same, he felt a little awkward in his heart. Ever since he took control of the Luiying Dao court, his status as a realm lord had greatly improved. However, he still couldn't control the 3 major Dao sects and the 5 major Dao courts, not to mention the 7 shrines that had always been outside the Grand Change realm. So Dao Lord Ning means that the cultivators of the Grand Change realm should fight with their lives to suppress the demonic creatures in the Grand Change realm's underground abyss? Of course, I believe that after the demonic creatures occupy the Grand Change realm, Dao Lord Ning will definitely open the Grand Essence realm and allow the cultivators of the Grand Change realm to live there. However, I'm the realm lord of the Grand Change realm. If I can protect the Grand Change realm, I'm willing to fight to the last person, like Dao Lord Ning said. Yin Xingwen spoke in a tone that was neither arrogant nor humble. Everyone could hear the meaning behind his words. That is, Ningcheng's words didn't hurt his back. Ningcheng, Dao Lord Grand Essence, didn't care about the life and death of the Grand Change realm. As for using the word live there, it was to tell the powerhouses of the Grand Change realm that the Grand Change realm no longer existed. Even if they survived and lived in the Grand Essence realm, they would still be living under someone else's roof. Ningcheng naturally understood the meaning behind Yin Xingwen's words. He spoke up in a cold tone. Realm Lord Xingwen, since I'm here, I'm naturally willing to contribute my strength to the Grand Change realm. I hope that Realm Lord Xingwen doesn't care about others, and use some small means to divide everyone's strength. Yin Xingwen's face stiffened, and the anger in his heart started to burn. Ningcheng, you're a Dao Lord, but this is my Grand Change realm's territory. I'm also the Grand Change realm's realm lord. Yet you speak so bluntly. My words are meant to sow discord, while your words are righteous and dignified. Ningcheng didn't care about Yin Xingwen's expression at all and continued. Countless Dao friends in the Grand Change realm, as well as countless Dao friends from other places, are fighting against the demonic creatures one after another. Although it's for the demonic crystals, it also has the desire to destroy the demonic creatures and restore peace to the Grand Change realm. If we use the kind-hearted girls as pure bodies to suppress the demonic creatures, wouldn't it hurt everyone's hearts once everyone learns about it? Therefore, I hope that the first step is to release all the captured girls as pure bodies. I agree with Dao Lord Ning's words. Jie Xinshui was the first to stand up. Then Yahua Dao Court's Dao Lord Bai Ling and many other powerhouses expressed their agreement with Ningcheng's proposal. Yin Xingwen knew that even if everyone disagreed with Ningcheng's opinion, Ningcheng had killed Su Xinghe, and they couldn't use their pure bodies to suppress the seal. He also nodded and said, I also agree with this point. I'll let someone handle this matter. Dao friend Ning, you don't have to worry about it. Ningcheng said in a deep voice, we have to handle this matter ourselves. Once it's done, I'll do my best to help the Grand Change realm suppress the demonic creatures. Even if I have to mobilize the Grand Essence realm's Dao Court army, I won't back down. The reason why Ningcheng wanted to do it himself was that he worried that Su Xinghe would capture Xir again. The pure body suppression also required the purest and kindest soul as the array heart. Only Xir could meet this condition. Since Su Xinghe proposed to use 18,000 kind-hearted girls as pure bodies to suppress the demonic creatures, then he must have found the girl as the array heart. This was the reason why he felt the most anxious. If it really was she, then even if she hadn't been refined into a seal, once the demonic creatures were suppressed, he would go to Yin Xingwen for some interest. He would even take out the matter of invading the Grand Essence realm to settle accounts. Yin Xingwen stood up with a calm expression. In that case, I'll accompany Dao Lord Ning. Since Dao Lord Ning is so confident, my Grand Change realm still has a lot to rely on Dao Lord Ning. Ningcheng didn't care about Yin Xingwen's words at all, and said without any politeness, lead the way. If he hadn't fought with Ningcheng, Feng Xian would have already jumped out to target Ningcheng. But now he only hoped that he wouldn't have anything to do with Ningcheng. In his eyes, Ningcheng was a nightmare. Even without Ping Cauldron Great Emperor, this nightmare was already so terrifying. Now that he had Ping Cauldron Great Emperor's help, he didn't dare to touch this nightmare. At this time, he only hoped to end things in the Great Change Realm as soon as possible, and use Yin Xingwen to go to heavens beyond to find the trace of his Feng clan's ancient bloodline. Yin Xingwen didn't argue with Ningcheng. He didn't have the means to deal with Ningcheng, and he couldn't deal with him now. No matter from which point of view, as a realm lord, he didn't want the demonic creatures to occupy the Great Change Realm. Since Ningcheng said that he would help in front of so many powerhouses, he definitely wouldn't go back on his words. Since he could borrow power, why wouldn't he Yin Xingwen use it? Under Yin Xingwen's lead, everyone quickly passed through several seals and restrictions, and came to a larger hall. The 18,000 girls hadn't been gathered yet, but there were thousands of girls imprisoned in the hall. These girls were imprisoned, and once 18,000 people were gathered, they would immediately start refining the ceiling pillars. Slap. A slap was heard, followed by an angry voice. So what if your father is the sect master of the Qing Nian divine sect? See, the woman next to this emperor is one of the top 3 in the 5 realms pill competition. She's the Dao companion of Ningcheng, the Dao lord of the Taisu Dao court. Isn't she still following behind this emperor to serve him? Let me tell you, as long as you enter here, you have to think of yourself as a ceiling pillar. For the sake of the Great Change Realm, this emperor touching you is giving you face. The angry voice suddenly stopped, because he saw many people coming in. When he saw Yin Xingwen walking in front of him, he was shocked and hurriedly put down his perverted hands that were about to touch the young girl. He walked over quickly and bowed. Seal Hall Deacon Chu Rue greets the Realm Lord, Dao Lords, Sect Masters, and Seniors. When the girls saw so many powerhouses coming in, their faces showed sadness. They all thought that the refining of the ceiling pillars had begun. They were innocent, but because of their kindness, they were caught and suppressed here. Chapter 1233. Is the woman next to you Dao Lord Ning's Dao companion? Jade Clear Dao Court's Dao Unification Holy Emperor Wei Xinghao suddenly asked. He didn't have any good intentions in asking this question. Ning Cheng's imposing manner was very big, and he even spoke a lot of high-sounding words, while carrying a noble aura. Now that his Dao companion followed a little deacon, how would Ningcheng deal with such a loss of face? Yes. Chu Rue didn't know Ningcheng, and even if he knew him, he wouldn't dare to look at these big shots who came in. At most, he would just glance at them and bow to them. Shan Yaotzen opened her mouth wide and looked at Ningcheng standing next to Yin Xingwen in shock. She didn't expect Ningcheng to appear here. Just a moment later, her face turned pale. Ningcheng spoke in a sarcastic tone. It's not easy to become a pure body suppression girl. I was wondering how senior apprentice Sister Shan could become a pure body suppression girl. It turns out that she's a deacon's wife. But why didn't I think that senior apprentice Sister Shan would become my Dao companion? With a Dao companion like senior apprentice Sister Shan, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Shan Yaotzen didn't expect to meet Ningcheng under such circumstances. In fact, she felt a little uneasy when she pretended to be Ningcheng's Dao companion. It's just that Ningcheng had a good reputation in the Great Change Realm. After she pretended to be Ningcheng's Dao companion, she not only gained too much glory, but also a lot of convenience. If it weren't for the eruption of the underground demonic creatures, she would still be living a good life. Although many people didn't like Ningcheng, no one dared to touch her, who was suspected to be Ningcheng's Dao companion. When the underground demonic creatures erupted, the Great Change Realm looked for a pure body girl to suppress the demonic creatures. Naturally, she was brought here. Unfortunately, she didn't fit in with kindness at all. She wasn't qualified to be the ceiling pillar to suppress the demonic creatures, but she had a good appearance. So in order to survive, she could only become Chu Rue's follower. You're Ning Dao Lord Ning. If Chu Rue still didn't know that the man with the ordinary spear in front of him was Ningcheng, then he would be a pig. Even if these girls were sent here for pure suppression, they still sacrificed themselves for the sake of the Grand Change Realm. You're just a deacon, yet you dare to touch me here? Living is just a waste of air. As Ningcheng spoke, he sent out a Dao Charm handprint. No one stopped Ningcheng. Since Chu Rui was able to become a deacon in this place, then naturally he had a strong background. Those who had enmity with Ningcheng, of course, hoped that Ningcheng would have more and more enemies, while those who did not have enmity with Ningcheng could not bear to see such a shameless person like Chu Rui. Chu Rui, a Tao actualization divine emperor, couldn't even beg for mercy and was slapped into nothingness. Shan Yaotzen, who stood next to Chu Rui, froze. She had also heard some news about Ningcheng returning to the Grand Essence realm. She had even heard that he had become Tao Lord Grand Essence and defeated the Grand Change Tao Court's army. But she never expected that Ningcheng would dare to come to the Grand Change realm. Not only did he dare to come here, but he also dared to kill Deacon Chu Rui of the Sealing Hall in front of the Celestial Literature World Master. Even if he did not consider these things, when did Ningcheng possess such strength? She clearly remembered that when she first met Ningcheng, Ningcheng's cultivation was far inferior to hers. Compared to Ningcheng, she was an unreachable existence. But how many years had passed since then? Ningcheng was already an unreachable existence for her. The matters of the world were nothing more than this. The imprisoned girls, on seeing Ningcheng kill Chu Rui directly, felt a little sluggish. What was going on? Chu Rui was a king-like existence in this place, but now he was slapped into nothingness. Innocent sisters, Su Xinghe has no sense of shame. He used the kindness of human nature to suppress others. It's despicable. After Tao Lord Grand Essence Ningcheng learned about this, he killed Su Xinghe to give justice to all sisters. Now all sisters are free. Bai Ling, as a female Tao Lord, was the first to stand up and explain the situation. Yin Xingwen's expression turned a little ugly. He should have said those words instead. Bai Ling obviously saw that he wanted to speak, so she spoke ahead of him. From the looks of it, Bai Ling had a lot of opinions about him. Don't look at just a few thousand women. Once all of them were released, it would damage his reputation a lot. Thinking of this, Yin Xingwen no longer cared about shame and spoke up. Tao Lord Bai Ling is right. After learning about this, I felt very sad. As the Great Change Realm's Realm Master, I have a direct responsibility. I trusted Su Xinghe too much. If I knew that he had captured all my junior apprentice sisters to suppress others, I would have let all my junior apprentice sisters go free even if I had to sacrifice an array Tao Master. Fortunately, Tao Lord Ning got the news in time and came to tell me. But it wasn't too late. After killing Su Xinghe, we immediately rushed over. Yin Xingwen's words were extremely vague. He didn't say how Su Xinghe deceived him. Moreover, his tone implied that after listening to Ningcheng's words, he wanted to destroy Su Xinghe together with Ningcheng. However, none of the imprisoned girls cared about this. No matter how kind they were, they wouldn't be willing to be refined into a suppressive pillar. At this time, everyone only felt joy and gratitude. Because of their kindness, few of them hated the person who captured them. For them, they were more grateful to the person who rescued them. Although Yin Xingwen pulled some points for himself, it couldn't change their minds. The reason why they were rescued was mainly because of Tao Lord Taisu Ningcheng. Looking at the thousands of rescued girls, Ningcheng asked with a gloomy expression, "Is everyone here? Why don't I see the pure body girl refining the array heart?" Ningcheng's words were completely intentional. Shan Yaotzen, who didn't know whether to advance or retreat, quickly spoke up. "There is a sealed space in the innermost part. I heard that the sealed space is used as an array heart." Without waiting for Shan Yaotzen to finish, Ningcheng had already stepped into the hall. Sure enough, after crossing the hall, Ningcheng saw an ingenious seal restriction. Even Ningcheng couldn't help but admire this Su Xinghe. Even he didn't notice this restriction the first time. Standing at the entrance of the restriction, Ningcheng didn't wait for Yin Xingwen to open the restriction, and directly raised his hand to tear it open. Ningcheng directly tore open a powerful seal restriction with his bare hands. A young girl in a light green dress with her hair draped over her shoulders was restrained on a lotus platform. "An E." Ningcheng blurted out. After an E was selected by Lan Yinyu to enter the Clear Heart 3-Star Academy, he hadn't seen an E again. Later, in the Eternal Night domain, he saw an Yi's statue, and then took an Yi's statue with him. It was only when he returned to Graceful Star Mainland, and found traces of an E tearing through space in the Celestial Moon Pill Gate, that he guessed that Yi's cultivation had been sealed, or that she had reincarnated. Even so, Ningqing didn't expect to see Yi many years later in the Grand Change realm, which had nothing to do with him. Even if his thoughts raced, he couldn't imagine that Yi would appear in this place. Dao Lord Ning, do you know this woman? Yin Xingwen suspected that Ningqing deliberately said that he knew this woman. That way, he could use it as an excuse to find trouble with him. Although he didn't fear Ningqing, he didn't want to fall into such a trap. Ningqing looked at Yin Xingwen coldly and said, Xingwen Realm Master, Yi is one of my most important friends. If anything happens to her, I won't forget where she died. Yi was the first person to go through life and death with Ningqing after he came to Graceful Star Mainland alone. Even the secret of his mysterious yellow bead, Yi was the first person to know about it. She and Yi had gone through many trials and tribulations together, and it was a friendship that could never be forgotten. No matter who brought Yi here, he wouldn't let it go. Yin Xingwen's face sank, but Jie Xinshui could tell that Ningqing really knew Yi. He quickly said, in that case, let's wait for Dao Lord Ning outside. After Dao Lord Ning talks to his friends, we can discuss how to deal with the underground demonic creatures. At this time, no one really wanted to start internal strife. The underground demonic creatures were so terrifying that everyone needed to work together the most. Yin Xingwen didn't refute Jie Xinshui's words, and the others naturally didn't want to oppose it. They all left the seal and gave the space to Ningqing. Ningqing suppressed the anger in his heart, and raised his hand to form a few hand seals with his Dao charm. The shackles on Yi's body cracked open. Yi's Dao charm finally became clear, and Ningqing also caught a glimpse of her cultivation. She had reached the full circle Dao transformation realm. After a few breaths, Yi opened her eyes in a daze. Then her eyes filled with surprise. Big brother Ning, it's really you. Did you come to save me again? Yi, why are you here? Ningqing felt that something was wrong with Yi, but he couldn't tell what exactly was wrong. While talking, Ningqing raised his hand and took out a few medicinal pills and handed them to Yi. Yi didn't even look at them before putting Ningqing's medicinal pills into her mouth. Ningqing was the person she trusted the most, no one else. Big brother Ning, were you the one who lifted the seal on my statue? I went to that place later, but I couldn't find Big brother Ning. After that, I wandered around in the void and heard the news of a pill sage named Ningqing taking the top 3 in the 5 realms pill competition. I didn't know if it was Big brother Ning, so I found a way to come to the Great Change realm. As Yi spoke until here, Ningqing knew that Yi must have missed out a lot of information. He raised his hand to stop Yi from continuing. Yi, wait, look at the statue. Ningqing always felt that Yi's statue had a trace of spirituality. With his current knowledge and cultivation, he could vaguely see that this statue had a trace of Yi's soul sealed within it. Ningqing had carefully kept this statue in the mysterious yellow bead. Perhaps it was because he had taken away Yi's statue that Yi's seal was unlocked. Big brother Ning, hurry up and put away the statue. Yi saw the statue and immediately cried out in panic. Ningqing didn't know what Yi meant, but he believed in Yi's words. As soon as Yi said those words, he immediately put away Yi's statue. Nevertheless, it was still too late. A dull tremor erupted in the void, and even with Ningqing's cultivation, he couldn't help but shiver subconsciously. Before he could react, a majestic aura that blotted out the sky and covered the earth came crashing down. This terrifying, imposing aura directly enveloped him, giving him a feeling of irresistibility. Chapter 1234. Not good. Ningqing raised his hand and grabbed Yi beside him. The creation divine spear exploded with thousands of spear flares and killing intent. In the face of this terrifying aura, any law or Dao rune aura had no meaning. All nomological power or one's own Dao rune power were like floating clouds in the face of this aura. The creation divine spear relied entirely on its own spear intent. Under Ningqing's guidance, it swept away almost all the killing aura in this space and blasted towards this majestic pressure. Two terrifying forces blasted together. Boom boom boom. Not to mention the sealed hall, even the surrounding buildings were turned into nothingness under this terrifying momentum. Void cracks appeared in the space, and the majestic aura that seemed to be pressing down from the sky was blocked by Ning Cheng's creation divine spear. A vortex space that looked like a spider web appeared. An endless terrifying aura overflowed from this spider web. Anyone within the range of this aura, even a Dao integration expert, would be blasted back by the terrifying power. The weaker ones even spat out blood and flew backward. The countless cultivators in the encampment fell into an uproar. The black hole in the void and the terrifying suppressive killing intent made everyone feel uneasy. As for the countless cave abodes that had turned into flying ashes, no one cared about them. Everyone hurriedly retreated, wanting to escape from the terrifying vortex beneath the spiderweb-like void cracks. Ning Cheng bore the brunt of the attack, and immediately spat out several mouthfuls of blood. He flew backward, and the bones in his body cracked. His Dao rune laws also became chaotic at this moment, and he couldn't condense them at all. Before he landed on the ground, Ning Cheng swallowed a drop of quintessential essence of the universe. His injuries were very serious. Under this majestic aura that ignored laws and Dao runes, his Dao rune laws had some cracks. If he used elixirs, he was afraid that it would take him a few months to recover. What was this place? He was in the middle of a group of tigers. Once he lost his strength, he would be like a lamb waiting to die. Under the quintessential essence of the universe, Ning Cheng's Dao rune injuries quickly healed. As for the physical injuries, they were nothing to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng, who landed on the ground again, stared blankly at the space above the ruins. The spider web-like void crack seemed to be shrinking, but the terrifying aura was still surging. Moreover, the aura was getting more and more majestic. Obviously, the next wave of attacks would come. Ning Cheng was shocked. What cultivation level was this? Third step? Feng Huangmei was also a third-step world creation realm expert, but he was sure that Feng Huangmei didn't even have 1/10 of this move. Moreover, the other party was separated by an endless void. If the other party stood in front of him, Ning Cheng might not even be able to stand up to him. He vaguely heard an angry snort from the end of the void. Then, the majestic aura condensed again in the void above his head. At this moment, not only Ning Cheng, but all you Ning Cheng, but also all. What kind of cultivation did he have to be able to unleash such a terrifying attack? Everyone stared in horror at the spiderweb cracks in the void that had yet to condense. Under the lock of such a terrifying aura, no one dared to continue running away. They were all waiting for the majestic and boundless aura to descend upon them once again. And on an uninhabited planet infinitely far from the Great Change Realm. A young man stared at the majestic aura fluctuations not far away in shock and murmured, "So strong. What kind of strength is this? To be able to unleash such a powerful attack across countless positional planes?" On the young man's back, there was a sheathless broadsword on his back. "Brother Yi, I'm afraid we have to leave quickly. Looking at this terrifying aura, the next attack will probably turn this planet into nothingness." The one who spoke was a slightly chubby middle-aged man. His skin was very white, and the Dao charm around him had completely integrated with the void. Apparently, he was also a peerless powerhouse. Behind this slightly chubby middle-aged man was a young woman. She also frowned, apparently still having some lingering fear from the previous wave of attacks. "That person is very strong." After a long while, the young woman spoke slowly. The young man and the chubby middle-aged man both understood what the young woman meant. She wasn't talking about the person who launched the attack, but the person who blocked it. The previous terrifying attack was obviously meant to kill someone, but it didn't achieve the desired effect. Otherwise, he wouldn't have condensed his aura for a second time. That majestic attack actually didn't kill a single person. Clearly, that person was very strong. The young man with the broadsword looked up at the vast void and felt the increasingly majestic oppressive aura. He then said in a low voice, "Why should I leave? This is obviously an almighty from another positional plane. He wants to use his boundless great divine power to cross the endless void to deal with people. Does he want to go over my head? I won't let him have his way. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have the power to cross planes." Just as the young man with the broadsword finished speaking, another majestic aura that was just as terrifying as the previous one came crashing down. This aura directly ignored the void planet they were on. It seemed like it wanted to crush this void planet into nothingness. At this moment, even if the few of them wanted to leave, they couldn't. The young man suddenly flew up, and the broadsword on his back had already slashed out. A purple light that was like peerless lightning directly turned the entire void into a purple saber light. There were no laws, no Dao charm, no divine power, only a saber light. Bang! A dull sound exploded in the endless void. Countless broken planets were turned into nothingness under this majestic aura. After the purple light, the boundless majestic aura disappeared without a trace. The void returned to its original state, as though nothing had happened. Boom! The young man landed on the void planet. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth, and the uninhabited planet under his feet shattered inch by inch. Brother Yi, are you okay? The slightly chubby middle-aged man hurriedly flew over and asked worriedly. The young man's broadsword once again returned to its simple appearance. He raised his hand and threw it, and the broadsword hung naturally on his back. I'm fine. This guy won't dare to come a third time. This person is very strong. I'm not his match now, the young man said solemnly as he looked at the disappearing aura in the void. The young woman also flew over and said with a cold tone, I wonder which bastard actually attracted such a terrifying powerhouse to cross planes to attack. The young man's gaze pierced through the void. After a while he said, the person who attracted the attack is also very strong. Even if I didn't help him block this attack probably wouldn't have been able to do anything to him. However, there will definitely be a third wave of attack. Let's not care about this. Let's go. Those old fellows might have already found the place. Outside the void that passed through countless planes in a misty realm, a 9-petaled green lotus platform floated above a golden lotus pond. The 9-petaled lotus platform was clearly missing 3 petals. On this lotus platform that was missing 3 petals sat a stunningly beautiful woman. However, her face was covered in frost. Her tender, white lotus-like wrist was still placed in the void. Good. I didn't expect that after not going out for so many years, there would actually be 2 people who can stop me. I want to see who dares to stop me, Xingxi. After I left, how many amazing talents have appeared in this void? The stunningly beautiful woman slowly put down her lotus-like arm, and her voice carried a trace of sharp killing intent. What's going on? Outside the Great Change Realm's underground abyss, everyone looked at the void in amazement. That majestic attack did not come down and dissipated. Ningqing frowned slightly. He gripped the good fortune divine spear tightly, and was ready to go. As soon as the attack fell, he would shoot it with all his strength. Moreover, he also guessed why the attack came down. It should have something to do with Yi's statue. Most likely it was the statue's positioning. Because of the statue's positioning, the attack could accurately break through countless planes and fall on his head. The statue had a positioning system. As long as he blocked this kind of attack from the void several times in a row, the attack from the void would lose its positioning and no longer pose any threat to him. Don't worry. Since the first attack didn't take me away, and the second attack didn't come down, they won't be able to find my position in a short time. Yi, who stood next to Ningqing, also breathed a sigh of relief and whispered, well, let's talk about this later. Let's go and take a look. Ningqing looked at the ruins of the cave abodes, and the countless bewildered human cultivators. He knew that he had to stabilize everyone at this time. Otherwise, the underground demonic creatures would take advantage of the situation and rush out, which would be a fatal blow. Dao Lord Ning, what happened just now? How did a peerless expert come here to tear through the Great Change Realm's domain defense array and attack this place? Yin Xingwen was the first to ask. His expression was a little ugly. That attack just now was so terrifying that even he and Ningqing could not block it without suffering any injuries. He naturally did not know that Ningqing was not only injured, but his injuries were not light. Ningqing had only used a drop of quintessential essence of the universe. Ningqing smiled. I'm not very sure. Fortunately, it's all right now. Let's discuss how to deal with the underground demonic creatures. Bai Ling also asked in doubt. Why did the second attack gather a more majestic aura in the void, but it didn't come down? Ningqing had a good impression of Bai Ling, the Yahua Dao Court's Dao Lord. Since she took the initiative to ask, Ningqing did not hide it. As far as I know, the second attack should have angered an expert in our side of the space. That expert took action midway and blocked the second attack. There was one more thing that Ningqing did not say. That is, the second attack was blocked midway. The guy who wanted to capture an E could not find an Yi's specific location, so there was no third attack. Jie Xinshui stood up and said, Dao Lord Ning is right. At this time, we should deal with those demonic creatures first. Once the demonic creatures in the underground abyss take the opportunity to attack, I'm afraid. Before Jie Xinshui could finish speaking, the entire sky darkened. Endless underground demonic creatures swarmed out, as if they had calculated the right time. Chapter 1235. Countless demonic creatures began to attack the defense array. The defense array was not very strong to begin with, and with just one attack, it began to crack. Everyone looked at Ningqing. Even Yin Xingwen looked at Ningqing. Ningqing knew why everyone was looking at him. It was because his battle record was just too impressive. With the newly formed Dao Court army of the Grand Essence Realm, he defeated the powerful attacks of the Grand Change Realm several times. At this time, facing the powerful attack of the demon, everyone could not help but place their hopes on him. Dao Lords, please organize the Dao Court army to stop the demonic creatures from attacking the defensive formation. Xingwen Realm Master, those rogue cultivators and some sect disciples still need you to lead them to assist the Dao Court army. Ningqing knew that it would be a waste of time to arrange the trap and kill array at this time. Ao Beijiang sneered. I thought Dao Lord Ning had some good ideas. At the end of the day, it's still the same as our previous idea. In fact, it might even be worse. However, not everyone had a grudge against Ningqing like Ao Beijiang. Dao Lord Bai Ling of the Yaohua Dao Court and Dao Lord Jie Xinshui of the Taishan Dao Court did not hesitate at all. They began to command their respective Dao Court armies to counterattack the demonic creatures. Although Ao Beijiang was a Dao integration expert, he was nothing in the eyes of the Dao Lords. At this moment, the demonic creatures in the underground abyss had erupted, and the Grand Change Realm was in danger of survival. Even though there were conflicts between the various Dao Courts, no one played any tricks. Even the Cloudlight Dao Court and the Jade Clear Dao Court, who had been taught a lesson by Ningqing, commanded their respective Dao Court armies to press forward. Yin Xingwen went straight to the point. As the master of a realm, he cared about the safety of the Great Change Realm more than anyone else. Although they knew that Ningqing's method was only this, but at this moment, other than using Ningqing's method of blocking, they really did not have any other means. Initially, Ningqing still had some doubts. With so many powerhouses in the Great Change Realm, no matter how many demonic creatures there were, it shouldn't be impossible to stop them. But now that the endless demonic creatures and the numerous cultivators were fighting against each other, Ningqing could see it clearly. The demonic creatures also had top-notch experts, and there were more than a dozen of them. Not only that, these demonic creatures also knew how to use trap and kill arrays. However, the trap and kill array formed by demonic creatures did not use array flags, but countless demonic creatures piled up together. Even a top-notch powerhouse like Yin Xingwen could only defend himself under the siege of a few top-notch powerhouses and the endless confinement killing formation. He could kill countless monsters with a casual strike, but there was no end to the number of monsters. If he killed one, another pair would appear. No matter how many he killed, it would just be a waste of energy. Even though they had temporarily stopped the demonic creature's attack, everyone knew that if they did not come up with a countermeasure in time, the demonic creatures would sooner or later break through the Dao Court's defensive line. There was no end to the demonic creatures. Although the Dao Court's army was large, there was a limit to their numbers. Once the defense line of the Dao Court army was breached, the demonic creatures would flood the entire Great Change Realm, and it would only be a matter of time before the Great Change Realm was occupied by the demonic creatures. Ningqing suddenly called out in a clear voice, "All array Dao masters follow behind me to stabilize the trap and kill array." As he spoke, Ningqing rushed to a huge gap created by the demonic creatures. He then raised his hand and brought out a pale white stone arch bridge, the first bridge of coping. As soon as the first bridge of coping came out, The raging sea of blood and the chilly wind swept away all the monsters that rushed over. The array flags in Ning Cheng's hand didn't stop at all. Instead, he threw them out one after another. In front of the first bridge of coping, a new trap and kill array appeared. Although this new trap and kill array only trapped a corner of the vast battlefield, it grew stronger and stronger under the obstruction of the first bridge of coping. The bridge of coping devoured countless demonic creatures, and even if the demonic creatures rushed over to replenish them, it would be too late. As a result, the demonic creatures on this side instantly became sparse. In just a dozen breaths, Ning Cheng's trap and kill array formed a shadow. Those powerful demonic creatures immediately discovered the situation here, and more powerful demonic creatures swarmed over. Apparently, they didn't want Ning Cheng to set up a new trap and kill array. Yin Xingwen and the others naturally weren't idiots. Therefore, when Ning Cheng made his move, all the powerhouses felt pleasantly surprised. Ning Cheng's attainments in the Tao of Arrays clearly surpassed Su Xinghe's. Not to mention surpassing Su Xinghe, even several Su Xinghe wouldn't be as good as Ning Cheng. Looking at the trap and kill array arranged under Su Xinghe's leadership, and then looking at the corner of the trap and kill array that Ning Cheng had just set up, they couldn't compare at all. Previously, Su Xinghe's trap and kill array barely blocked the demonic creatures from rushing out with the help of the Dao Court's army. But now, Ning Cheng's trap and kill array didn't have the help of the Dao Court's army at all. Instead, it relied on the first bridge of coping's spirit technique. Even so, the demonic creatures that swarmed over died under the trap and kill array. Moreover, Ning Cheng had only set up a corner of the trap and kill array. Once Ning Cheng set up the entire trap and kill array, these demonic creatures would be nothing but farts. No matter how strong they were, they would still be driven into the underground abyss. Moreover, such a colossal trap and kill array only needed a corner to work. Those who weren't proficient in the Tao of Arrays wouldn't have even heard of such a thing. Didn't the trap and kill array need to be fully set up before it could work? Yin Xingwen immediately understood Ning Cheng's value. He didn't hesitate to issue an order. Not only did he transfer the entire Luiying Dao Court's army to protect Ning Cheng, but he also ordered all the Array Dao Grandmasters to follow Ning Cheng's orders. Seeing Ning Cheng's terrifying attainments in the Tao of Arrays, Yin Xingwen felt a faint sense of fear in his heart. He felt that his previous loss to Ning Cheng wasn't an accident. If he went to the Grand Essence Realm again, he would definitely lose again. More and more demonic creatures swarmed towards Ning Cheng, and their levels also grew higher and higher. Even with the help of the Dao Court's army, Ning Cheng started to feel strained. He didn't hesitate to bring out the second Looking Village Bridge, and the third Forgetting River Bridge. The three arched bridges of the Seven Bridges spirit technique formed a line. An endless Dao charm killing intent swept out. No matter how many demonic creatures swarmed over, they couldn't escape the strangulation of these three bridges. Ning Cheng's movements also grew faster and faster, and the range of the trap and kill array he set up also grew larger and larger. The demonic creatures were strangled in droves, and a large number of demon crystals were swept away by the three stone-arched bridges. As for the Array Dao Grandmasters who followed behind Ning Cheng, they only needed to reinforce the trap and kill array that Ning Cheng had set up. With the protection of these trap and kill arrays, the pressure on the Dao Court's army protecting the trap and kill array was greatly reduced. As the demonic creatures continued to rush towards Ning Cheng, the Dao Court's army and the other powerhouses also continued to rush over. In just half an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng's position became the center of the entire battlefield. Normally, these demonic creatures would have retreated a long time ago, but now they didn't dare to retreat. They didn't know what was going on in the Grand Change Realm, but an Array Dao expert like Ning Cheng had suddenly appeared. Once this trap and kill array took shape, the demonic creatures would find it hard to turn things around. A sharp voice came from among the endless demonic creatures. Those who block my demonic Dao will die. Following this voice, a huge black figure that had completely solidified appeared above Ning Cheng's head, ignoring the space between them. The black hammer, which almost tore the entire Grand Change Realm apart, came crashing down. The trap and kill array around Ning Cheng, which had yet to take shape, directly cracked under the Dao charm of the hammer. Not to mention that no one could stop this black figure at this moment. Even if they could, they would hesitate. Ningcheng stopped moving, raised his hand, and rolled up a long yellow river that was hundreds of thousands of feet long. As soon as the yellow river appeared, it surrounded Ningcheng's body, and the rolling yellow waves roared down. The Dao charm and killing intent of death continued to spread on the roaring yellow river, and the long river that was hundreds of thousands of feet long continued to grow. Boom! The black hammer that tore through the void and the surging yellow river collided, and the killing intent overflowed. The terrifying Dao charm and law aura turned all the demonic creatures and Dao court soldiers into nothingness. Ningcheng stopped arranging the trap and kill array, and the killing intent of the Dao charm and killing intent around him grew stronger. A cyan stone arch bridge appeared under his feet, and the Yellow Springs Bridge's killing intent and Dao charm kept rolling over the bridge. The Yellow Springs was boundless, without any good or evil. Souls turned to dust, and spirits lost. This demonic creature was too powerful, and even he couldn't stop the deaths of those Dao court soldiers. If he wanted to continue arranging the trap and kill array, he had to kill this demonic creature first. The Good Fortune Divine Spear rolled up a sky full of killing intent and blasted towards the tall demonic creature, ignoring the distance between them. After the yellow roaring river blocked the terrifying giant hammer, it once again surrounded Ningcheng's body. At this time, Ningcheng stepped on the Yellow Springs Bridge, and the roaring yellow river rolled around him. Holding the Good Fortune Divine Spear, he rushed towards the tall demonic creature like a god. Boom! The Good Fortune Divine Spear and the Dao charm of the demonic creature's giant hammer clashed once again, and the endless killing intent that filled the sky became even more unobstructed this time. Unlike last time, Ningcheng's domain blocked the killing intent that rushed towards the Dao court's army. Ningcheng blocked the Dao charm killing intent that rushed towards the Dao court's army, but no one stopped the Dao charm killing intent that rushed towards the demonic creature. This endless killing intent directly blasted towards the densely packed underground demonic creatures, and sharp and tearing cries filled the entire battlefield at this moment. In the space affected by this terrifying Dao charm killing intent, not a single demonic creature could survive. At this moment, even more demonic creatures didn't have time to rush in. The place where the killing intent spread out actually formed a vacuum. The tall giant demonic creature let out another sharp cry, and more demonic creatures swarmed in. The fourth Yellow Springs Bridge under Ningcheng's feet didn't move at all. Instead, he raised his hand and sent out a silent law-breaking spirit technique. The huge demonic creature that rushed towards Ningcheng again suddenly felt the aura of laws around it weaken. The demonic creature instantly understood what was going on. This was a law-breaking spirit technique. Unexpectedly, someone here had comprehended such a powerful law-breaking spirit technique. His eyes filled with horror. Once the law-breaking spirit technique trapped him, no matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be the opponent of this person in front of him. Retreat. After the giant demonic creature realized that Ningcheng wasn't just an expert in array Dao, but could also use an law-breaking spirit technique, he didn't hesitate to issue the order to retreat. Although he wasn't the master of the underground abyss, he had the right to issue such an order. Any one of the 10 underground demons could issue such an order. Chapter 1236. Ningcheng did not care about the other party's retreat. The reason why he arranged the trap and kill array was because it was the simplest and most effective way to deal with this situation. Now that so many demons thought that he was a pushover, it would be strange if he didn't kill them. Time wheels blasted out, and the space around Ningcheng, which had just been filled with demonic creatures, once again turned into a vacuum. The endless demonic creatures turned into nothingness in front of the time wheel. They didn't even have a chance to retreat. The giant demon, on seeing that Ningcheng still had such a card up his sleeve, did not dare to stay any longer, and immediately retreated in a crazed manner. Ningcheng did not give chase. If not for his lack of fire-attributed spirit techniques, his celestial river flame could have directly strangled all the low-leveled demonic beasts. So strong. Yin Xingwen did not take advantage of the victory to chase after Ningcheng. Instead, he looked at Ningcheng's moves with a gloomy heart. He also knew about Ningcheng's 7 Bridges spirit technique. As for Ningcheng's time wheel, He also didn't care about it. Although he also had such a large-scale killing method, Ning Cheng's law-breaking spirit technique was simply too strong. There were also a few people who knew about law-breaking spirit techniques like Ning Cheng, who could use a law-breaking spirit technique to scare away one of the 10 devils in the stable Grand Change realm. From this, it showed that Ning Cheng's understanding of the laws of heaven and earth far surpassed Yin Xingwen's. Ao Beijiang looked at Ning Cheng in disbelief. He naturally knew about the power of the 10 abyss devils. At least in a one-on-one fight, he would not dare to say that he would be able to blow away one of the 10 abyss devils. However, Ning Cheng, under the siege of countless devils, easily managed to do it. From this point, he could see that Ning Cheng's strength far surpassed his own. It was a good thing that Ning Cheng had some treasures on him, but unfortunately, he had missed the best time to snatch those treasures, allowing Ning Cheng to grow. Ning Cheng's growth rate had far exceeded his expectations. With Ning Cheng's strength, if he, Ao Beijiang, wanted to snatch treasures, it would truly be courting death. Ao Beijiang suddenly felt aggrieved. Back then, he had been struck back by a primordial chaos sacred emperor in the beyond of heaven and earth. Now that he was here, it was a primordial essence sacred emperor that he did not dare to move. At this moment, he felt that his Tao integration was a joke. A feeling of old age welled up in Ao Beijiang's heart. There was only a kind of desolation in his heart. He knew that his great Tao was probably going to end here, unless there was a miracle that could cheer him up again. He subconsciously glanced at Feng Xian in the distance. After Feng Xian came back from the Grand Essence realm for the second time, he had lost all his fighting spirit. He had even ridiculed Feng Xian. But now, how similar was he to Feng Xian? The underground demons retreated once again, and the soldiers of the Tao court heaved a sigh of relief. They began to sort out their gains and count their losses. Yin Xingwen forcibly hid the fear in his heart, and arrived in front of Ning Cheng with the other powerhouses. Tao Lord Ning is indeed powerful. He used his own strength to repel countless demonic creatures. He's much stronger than us. Guruashi was a Tao integration expert, so she had no qualms about speaking. Ning Cheng showed a smile. I just happen to have a spiritual technique that can make these demonic beings feel dread. That demonic being that attacked me across space was really powerful. If it wasn't for my rather good understanding of the laws, I would have suffered a great loss. Tao Lord Ning's divine ability to break the laws truly is breathtaking. Even with the 7 Bridges' divine ability, those devils weren't able to do anything to him. However, the demonic creature that Tao Lord Ning fought just now was indeed powerful. It was one of the 10 underground demons. Jie Xinshui stood up and explained. 10 underground demons? Ning Cheng asked in confusion. A fat monk took the initiative to answer. Yes, the Great Change Abyss is a gathering place for demonic creatures. In the beginning, the underground abyss could provide trials for Great Change Realm cultivators, but no one cared. Later, the underground abyss erupted, and 10 powerful devils appeared. These 10 powerful devils rushed out of the underground abyss and occupied almost the entire Great Change Realm. Fortunately, there were countless powerhouses in the Great Change Realm at that time. These powerhouses joined forces to suppress the underground demons again, and the 10 underground demons were sealed. In order to suppress the underground demons forever, a highly respected senior in the Grand Change Realm built a temple here to gather the power of will. As the wish power poured in, the temple condensed into a giant tree, which was the scorched tree. Later, the scorched tree replaced the temple to suppress the underground demons. However, for some reason, the scorched tree that suppressed the underground abyss suddenly began to wither and finally lost its vitality. Without the scorched tree, the later generations could not continue to set up the wish power temple. He could only use the method of sealing to seal the 10 underground devils. However, this thing couldn't last for long. Until today, the 10 underground demons finally erupted. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and asked, May I ask who this master is? The fat monk also cupped his fists. Tao Lord Ning is too polite. I'm Yen Kong from the Thousand Buddha Sacred Tao Sect. So it's Master Yen Kong from the 3 major Tao sects. I heard it from a friend, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Why does Master Yen Kong know so much about it? Ningqing asked in doubt. It wasn't the first time he heard about wish power. As long as it involved wish power, Ningqing would feel a little strange. Because the senior who built the temple was the Thousand Buddha Sacred Tao Sect's Thousand Buddha Sacred Emperor. Yan Kong spoke with a respectful tone. So that's how it is. Forgive me for being disrespectful. Ningqing quickly expressed his respect. Even the other people's views on Yan Kong had changed. Not many people in the Great Change Realm knew about the Thousand Buddha Sacred Emperor building a temple to suppress the underground demons. Dao Lord Ning, Master Yan Kong, now that the demons have retreated, what should we do? Do we continue to arrange the trap and kill array, or attack? Yin Xingwen took the initiative to speak. He wasn't looking for a sense of existence, but worried that the underground demons would take over the Great Change Realm. It wasn't easy to rope in Ningqing, a free array Dao Grandmaster, as a helper. If he didn't make use of him once Ningqing left, it wouldn't be easy to invite Ningqing over again. As for forcing Ningqing to stay, he had this idea when Ningqing first arrived. But now he had already let go of this idea. With Ningqing's strength, it meant that he had nothing to fear. If he wanted to force Ningqing to stay, he would have to be a pig with a brain. Mentioning Master Yan Kong in his words was to give face to the Thousand Buddha Sacred Emperor. However, Master Yan Kong shook his head. It's not realistic to attack. Few demons have spiritual wisdom, and there are countless of them. It's impossible to kill them all. If we could kill all the demons, then we wouldn't have built a temple to suppress them. Ningqing also nodded. Master Yan Kong is right. Let's continue to arrange this trap and kill array, and then assemble the trap and kill array. The first step is to drive the underground demons underground. And then we can discuss further. Yin Xingwen looked at Ningqing and hesitated for a long time. He seemed to want to say something, but in the end he didn't say anything. Previously he thought that he had Ningqing in his grasp and didn't have to worry about anything. But now that Ningqing stood at the same height as him, or even higher than him, he finally had some scruples. But if he didn't give Ningqing a little trouble, he wouldn't be willing. Besides, this was the best time to ask about the World Mountain. If he missed this time, he wouldn't even be able to find an opening. Ningqing knew that he needed Yin Xingwen's support at this time. Don't look at Yin Xingwen's inability to control the entire Grand Change Realm. Moreover, he wasn't afraid of Yin Xingwen's tricks at all. Realm Master Yin Xingwen, if you have something to say, just say it. Right now, dealing with the underground demons is everyone's business. As for the accounts between you and me, we can slowly settle them after the underground demons are suppressed. Ningqing spoke out straightforwardly. Yin Xingwen didn't care that Ningqing wanted to settle accounts with him. It would have been strange if Ningqing just let it go. Dao Lord Ning, I heard that you have a world mountain. If you take out the world mountain to suppress the underground demons, Dao Lord Ning can take anything from my Grand Change Realm. Yin Xingwen spoke out directly. Yin Xingwen's words indeed had the intention of drawing hatred to Ningqing. More importantly, Yin Xingwen wanted to verify if Ningqing had the world mountain. In his opinion, with Ningqing's strength, if Ningqing really had the world mountain, it would be impossible for him to obtain the world mountain. He might as well say it directly and squeeze Ningqing. He knew that even if Ningqing had the world mountain, he wouldn't take it out. Regardless of whether Ningqing took out the world mountain or not, it would still cause some trouble for Ningqing. Ningqing sneered. You're quite well informed. I do have a world mountain. When Yin Xingwen said that Ningqing had the world mountain, the rest of the people looked at Ningqing and Yin Xingwen in shock. What was the world mountain? Even if Ningqing really had the world mountain, what could the Grand Change Realm exchange for it? What shocked everyone even more was that Ningqing really admitted that he had the world mountain. Before everyone could sober up from the shock, Ningqing raised his hand and grabbed a small model of the world mountain and said, I did get a model of the world mountain, but who told you about such a trivial thing? Did they want to challenge you to a fight with me? Yin Xingwen's expression turned a little ugly, and he glared at Ao Beijiang fiercely. As a friend, he didn't just help Ao Beijiang a little bit. He didn't expect Ao Beijiang to use this against him. If it weren't for the world mountain, he wouldn't have attacked the Grand Essence realm so easily. Sure enough, it was Ao Beijiang trying to sow discord, but Ningqing didn't point it out. Instead, he spoke up in a clear voice. Dao friends, I'll start arranging the trap and kill array and compressing the trap and kill array. Everyone, please work together to help me drive these underground demonic creatures back. Speaking of which, these underground demonic creatures have something to do with me. If I hadn't broken the seal to save them, I'm afraid these underground demonic creatures wouldn't have rushed out. Master Yan Kong spoke up with a calm voice. Dao Lord Ning, even if you didn't destroy the underground seal, those underground demonic creatures would still have erupted. It's just a matter of time. The only thing that can suppress the underground demonic creatures is the scorched tree. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened to that scorched tree, but it suddenly withered. Ning Qing asked in doubt. Can't the scorched tree be polluted by the underground demonic creatures? Yan Kong shook his head. I don't know where you heard this news, but the scorched tree was initially irrigated by the power of hope. Once it grows up, it would turn into a treasure that can absorb demonic creatures. How could such a treasure be polluted by demonic creatures? The more demonic creatures there are, the more lush the scorched tree would grow. Listening to Yan Kong's words, Ning Qing understood that the scorched tree must have withered because of an inside story. He wanted to see Shi Qianghua as soon as possible, and then return to the Grand Essence realm. He didn't want to get involved in the matters of the Grand Change realm. Therefore, he simply said, in that case, let's drive these demonic creatures away first. By the way, Master Yan Kong, is there any way to save the scorched tree? Yan Kong shook his head and spoke after a long while. Unless there's a mirage tree. But a mirage tree is extremely difficult to obtain. It's almost impossible. Chapter 1237. Ning Qing immediately thought of the mirage tree and his mysterious yellow bead, but he did not say anything about it. If he could not investigate how the scorched tree was destroyed, then even if he contributed the mirage tree, it would still be useless. It would be better to arrange a ceiling entrapment array formation. The underground demonic creatures seem to have been suppressed by Ning Cheng's law-breaking spirit technique. After Ning Cheng completed the entire confinement and killing array, and even started to compress the confinement and killing array, the underground demonic creatures didn't move at all. In just one day, the underground monsters were chased back to the underground abyss, and the huge, withered scorched tree once again appeared in front of everyone. Thank you, Dao Lord Ning. If it wasn't for you, it would be hard to say what would have happened to me. Even if he did not want to thank Ning Cheng, Yin Xingwen had to pinch his nose and publicly thank Ning Cheng. Ning Qing knew that he and Yin Xingwen would not become friends. Moreover, he would also look for Yin Xingwen to settle accounts with him afterwards. As such, towards Yin Xingwen's gratitude, he just waved his hand and did not take it to heart. Everyone, the most important thing we need to do now is to seal the monster under the scorched tree. Otherwise, even after we leave, the demonic creatures below would still rush out. Ning Qing took the initiative to speak. Dao Lord Jie Xinshui of the Taishan Dao Court felt a lot of admiration for Ning Cheng. The underground demonic creatures had been wreaking havoc for a long time. The entire army of the Dao Court of the Grand Change Realm had been mobilized, and they had even opened the teleportation formation to the Grand Change Realm. However, they were still unable to stop these demonic creatures from wreaking havoc. As soon as Ning Qing arrived, he drove the demonic creatures back with his confinement killing array and law-breaking spirit technique. This was his ability. He was the first to step forward and say, Dao Lord Ning is right. Our Great Change Realm lacks top-notch array Dao experts like Dao Lord Ning. Now that we've driven the underground monsters back, it's the perfect time to seal them. I suggest that Dao Lord Ning take the lead, and we work together to seal the underground abyss. Even the people who did not have a good relationship with Ning Cheng were very clear that only Ning Cheng could take on such a heavy responsibility. One could only imagine how powerful the Grand Essence Realm's Boundary Protection Grand Array was, and how terrifying the Grand Essence Realm's Boundary Protection Grand Array was. Previously, when Ning Cheng used the Trap and Kill Array to push the demonic creatures back into the underground abyss, it also showed how powerful Ning Cheng's Dao of Array formations were. Following behind Jie Xinshui, everyone also agreed to Ning Cheng's proposal. Dao Lord Ning, tell me what to do. I, Yin Xingwen, will be the first to fully support you. Yin Xingwen also felt helpless. Fortunately, Ningcheng had to leave immediately after dealing with this matter. Otherwise, Ningcheng's reputation in the Grand Change realm would have exceeded Yin Xingwen's. Ningcheng spoke up calmly. I hope that all the major sects and Dao courts can come up with top-grade materials. Also, gather all the formation Dao masters in the entire Great Change realm to help me set up the trap and kill sealing array. No problem. Yahua Dao Court will be the first to agree, Bai Ling said without hesitation. Dao Lord Ning, even if we seal it directly, I'm afraid the demonic creatures will still break through the seal in a few years. Wei Xinghao said indifferently. Ningqing didn't care about this fellow. For him it was his obligation to help. Since Dao friend Wei Xing has a better way, then I won't embarrass myself. I still have some matters to attend to. Goodbye. Saying that, Ningqing did not hesitate to turn around and leave. Wei Xinghao's expression changed. Only then did he understand that Ningcheng had volunteered to help. He didn't have to do anything about the seal. Seeing Ningcheng's arrogant attitude, Wei Xinghao could only shut up. All the experts present stared at Wei Xinghao fiercely, thinking to themselves, if you have the ability, then do it. You don't have the ability, yet you still want to talk nonsense. Yin Xingwen spoke up without any trace of politeness this time. Dao friend Wei Xing, Dao Lord Ning came to help out of kindness. It's not right for you to say that. I hope that the Jade Clear Dao Court can set an example, and not let Dao Lord Ning down. Dao Lord Ning, we all agreed to use your method to seal the underground demonic creatures. If you need any help, Dao Lord Ning, please let us know. At this time, Yin Xingwen didn't dare to offend Ningcheng. Ningcheng didn't continue and said in a calm voice, I hope that the trap and kill sealing array has an entrance. After the array is set up, anyone with a cultivation base can enter the scorched tree for a trial and obtain demonic crystals. That's good. It's just like the original seal of the Great Change realm. Some demonic creatures can be used as a trial. Bai Ling was the first to hear the benefits of Ningcheng's method. Secondly, this seal also needs a top-grade treasure as the array core. It's best if it's a Xiantian treasure. After saying that, Ningcheng looked at Yin Xingwen. He didn't believe that Yin Xingwen didn't have any good treasures in his hands after becoming the Great Change realm's realm lord for so many years. If Yin Xingwen didn't want to take out any treasures, then it didn't matter. In the future, the demonic creatures would flood again. Yahua Dao Court's Dao Lord Protector Guruashi suddenly looked at Yin Xingwen and said, Xingwen Realm Lord, I remember that the Luiying Dao Court's Dao Crossing Pool has a Dao Crossing bead. This bead should be a postnatal spiritual treasure, right? Ningcheng promptly echoed, if there's a postnatal spiritual treasure, it should be enough to seal the underground demonic creatures. Yin Xingwen's expression turned ugly. Once the Dao Crossing bead was taken away, the Luiying Dao Court's Dao Crossing Pool would become useless. If it was before, he would have wanted Ningcheng to find an excuse to take away the Dao Crossing bead. But now, the Luiying Dao Court was under his control. Once the Dao Crossing bead was taken away, the cohesion of the Luiying Dao Court would drop significantly. Haha, I originally planned to give this Dao Crossing bead to Dao Lord Ning. Now that I want to use it to seal the demonic creatures, I can only trouble Dao Lord Ning. Yin Xingwen said with a dry laugh. Ningqing didn't care about it at all. He knew that if he didn't use the Dao Crossing bead to seal the underground demonic creatures, then Yin Xingwen would never give it to him. Ningcheng's attainments in the Dao of arrays were indeed unmatched here. After gathering all kinds of top-grade materials and array formation masters, the underground abyss sealing and killing array progressed quickly. In just a few days, after Ningcheng used the Dao Crossing bead as the core of the sealing array, all the demonic creatures in the Scorched Tree Temple were sealed once again. Unlike the previous seals, Ningcheng used the Dao Crossing bead to seal the killing array. The killing array absorbed the spirit essence and spiritual chi of the underground abyss, which prevented the demonic creatures from advancing. At the same time, it could also strangle the underground demonic creatures. To break the killing array's seal, someone's attainments in the Dao of arrays had to surpass Ningcheng's. Either that, or a peerless powerhouse among the demonic creatures could directly take the third step. After the killing array was set up, the Great Change Realm's powerhouses came forward to thank Ningcheng. Whether there was hatred or not, Ningcheng had done a great thing for the Great Change Realm. As for Ao Beijiang and Feng Xian, who didn't get along with Ningcheng, they had long since disappeared. Dao Lord Ning, if it weren't for your help in the Great Change Realm, the consequences would have been unimaginable. The Great Change Realm's Dao Lords, Sect Masters, and all the Dao integration powerhouses came to thank Ningcheng. Therefore, Yin Xingwen had no choice but to come forward. From the bottom of his heart, he really wanted to thank Ningcheng for this matter. Even if Ningcheng had used up his Dao crossing bead. Ningcheng's face sank. Realm Master Xingwen, you're also the Realm Master. You led the Great Change Realm's Dao Court army to invade my Great Essence Realm. I didn't expect you to let Su Xinghe capture my friend and use him as a ceiling pillar. Yin Xingwen sighed in his heart. He knew that Ningcheng had started to settle accounts and wanted benefits. When he first invaded the Great Essence Realm, he had lost Chaos Chi and a bunch of spirit veins. Now Ningcheng had come to take advantage of him. As a Realm Master, he felt extremely depressed. Now that Ningcheng had spoken up, he couldn't find anyone to support him. After all, Ningcheng had just done something great for the Great Change Realm, made a group of friends, and deterred some people who didn't like him. This matter. Just as the Star Rune World Lord said these 3 words, he heard a cold snort. Following that, 2 women directly crossed through the void and descended. Dao runes circulated around these 2 people, and it seemed as if a kind of rosy cloud was lingering around them, making them look mysterious and noble. Ningcheng's eyebrows jumped up. He could feel the power of these 2 women. At the same time, he sighed in his heart. The Great Change Realm was indeed far stronger than the Great Essence Realm. There were only a few Dao integration experts in the Great Essence Realm, but Dao integration experts in the Great Change Realm were too cheap. Only 1 or 2 of them would appear from time to time. The 2 women hovered a foot above the ground in the void with rosy clouds swirling under their feet. In terms of appearance, these 2 women were stunning. Even Shan Yaotzen, who had a tall figure and good looks, paled in comparison to these 2 women. The woman on the left glanced at everyone and asked in an indifferent tone, "Who killed Su Xinghe?" Dao Lord Bailing glanced at Ningcheng and suddenly cupped his fists. Yahua Dao Courts Bailing greets the 2 temple masters of the 7 shrines. Ningcheng understood that they were the 2 temple masters of the 7 shrines. He understood that Bailing deliberately reminded him of who these 2 people were. Ningcheng hadn't stayed in the Great Change Realm for a long time. But he also knew that the 7 shrines were the most mysterious sect in the Great Change Realm. This sect didn't even pay attention to anyone, and had always done things their own way. Now that he looked at these 2 temple masters with eyes on their foreheads, it really was the case. The old fogey didn't care whether you were from the 7 shrines or the 8 shrines. He smiled and said, "Your grandpa Ping Ding killed him. What's the matter? Is that ugly monster your lover? Courting death?" The beautiful woman who spoke suddenly raised her hand, and a 5-colored ribbon slowly floated over. 5-element space blockade? Ningcheng saw through this woman's spirit technique at a glance. He had seen the crudest version of this spirit technique when he was still in the starry sky. The 5-element space blockade displayed by this woman in front of him was completely different from the crude spirit technique he had seen in the past. Don't look at the 5-colored ribbon moving slowly. In fact, she had already locked onto the surrounding 5 elements. No matter where the old fogey moved, the 5-element space blockade would instantly form and lock him in place. If the old fogey didn't move, he would still end up dead. It was just like his ice ceiling space, except that his ice ceiling space had a mutated attribute. Moreover, this 5-colored ribbon also hit a vicious spatial crack in the middle. As long as the old fogey fell into the 5-element space, his life and death would be beyond his control. Ningcheng didn't move. The old fogey was an ancient heavenly emperor. If he couldn't even deal with a woman, then he really wouldn't live up to his name. The other woman didn't move. She didn't even look at her companion's movements. Instead, she looked at an E beside Ningcheng. When she looked at an E, her eyes suddenly flashed with a trace of surprise. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.